peoples. This is Mystic Jinx peeking in, and I have two guests with me today, and that is Checking Convictions, or otherwise known as Linda. Hi,
Hey,
Linda. How are
hi,
you?
Jinxie. I'm great. Glad you're doing this. I'm so glad you're doing this.
Good, good. I'm nervous as always, but we'll put that aside and move forward, right? Keep going
Right
forward.
on.
Let's add Nosy Wren is, of course, with us today. Hi, Nosy. She might not be able to say
Hello,
anything.
people.
She's getting herself settled in, so we will
There's my girl, Nose around.
Hello.
say hi to everyone in the chat. Hi, Kethro, Checking. I'm waving to you guys, by the way. TTM Man Girl, Yoris, Bambino, Katie Lou, Smart Duck. Hi, guys. How is everyone out there? Hope you're all staying safe and doing well. Today we're going to talk about Don Lewis off of Tiger King, the missing husband of Carol Baskin. And Linda has pressured me
Yep.
to
Hey,
do a live on a post I wrote about a year and a half ago in May of 2020 on this case. I call it the Sheldon Road Theory. So I guess what we'll do to start is I'll read the post for you guys. I have linked it below. Linda and Nosy can also link the Google Drive document. And it's the same post, a little updated of the one that was in the official Don Lewis Facebook group. I should probably link that too.
just did. It's in the chat.
All right, good, good. And so I guess we'll start. We'll just start. Sound good, guys?
Sounds good to me. Get it going. This is really good.
All right. So what I'll do here is I got to change my screen because I'm in the wrong area. Hold on a sec. Let's fix my little pop out so I can see you guys. Do live chat. Close this window and open this one. All right. So I'm going to add this to the stream. Let's see if you guys can all read this. Can you guys read that? Do I need to make it a little bigger? I don't know if that made it any bigger.
Yeah, a little bit bigger if you can.
Did that help?
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be able to read it.
Oh, it didn't come in. Why is it black?
Don't know. Go back to it.
Hello.
Hello. Whatever it's.
Why are we playing games with me today? I couldn't get it to share before, so.
Yeah, maybe you should just go back. There you go. I'm sure we'll be able to be fine. You're reading it anyway, so just hit it, girl.
Well, wait. I want to get it on the screen.
Yeah, it's there. We see it.
Do you? I don't see it in here.
I don't now, but I did.
I did too.
Okay, give me a minute. Let's see if it pops back in. Let's talk about something. So, what are your guys' theories?
Here, yeah. Welcome,
T1.
everybody. It isn't
been a while.
It is technical difficulties. That's machinery and computer, not the operator. Let's get that straight.
Has it popped in there yet? I don't see it. Why is it playing games with me?
Maybe go out of your share screen.
Let me remove and add again.
Yeah.
It's not showing up in there either. What if I stop the screen and try re-adding it?
I would stop and re-add, yeah.
Share my window.
Do you remember the hour?
And now it's not coming up again.
You have to get it back on a tab like you did before.
Can you just read it without showing it on the screen?
Well, I would prefer to show it. I mean, it gives them something to read along with. Let me try this again.
Yeah, you had to.
Obviously, StreamYard does not like me today, and I'm doing my best. Let's see if we can get this.
Honey. Don't like me ever
Try
either.
this again. There it is. Is it on the screen?
Yes, it's. I can see it here, and in a minute, YouTube will because there's a delay. There we go.
There's like a 10-second delay.
There you go. It is there. I'm looking at the YouTube, and it is on. Okay,
this is called the 6001 Sheldon Road Theory. Theory is Don was killed on the weekend between August 15th through the 18th, 1997. Throw that in there. She then took his body from the Easy Street and possibly buried him on the property Don and Carol both lived on at one time in 1992. It was something that the current Hillsborough County Sheriff has said in recent weeks that struck a chord with me. He claims now that Deputy Stairs was not with Carol on that morning because he was on a 3 a.m. burglary call. He is saying this even though the detective John Marsicano said in Tiger King that the investigation indicated, so he is for some reason now alibying the Deputy Stairs, or maybe it is both. Carol admits to last talking to Don when he told her to get the Costa Rica truck ready because he was leaving early on Monday morning for Miami. This was said in a news broadcast back then. If this is the last time she talked to Don, the statement indicates that she last saw him before that 3 a.m. Monday morning car ride with her brother Chuck. I believe that Carol and Deputy Chuck were walking back to their cars after burying or moving Don on the property that they shared in 1992, 6001 Sheldon Road. There are several things that indicate this is the road to me. One being the 24-hour Albertson that was nearby was a good excuse for them to say that is the reason they are out on the road in the middle of the night, especially if he was on duty. The car broke down too. The other deputy was in a separate car and came upon them, and the need to make up a story arose. There was a 24-hour Albertson that was on West Hillsborough Road and Memorial Highway. Memorial Highway forks off with Sheldon Road, just north of the store. The store had been open 24 hours since 1977 when it had opened. I think when that burglary call came in at 3:06 a.m. off of Sheldon Road around the block from what was then Wildlife on Easy Street, Deputy Chuck asked the second deputy to drive Carol home, and Chuck, to further his own alibi as he was on duty, took the burglary call. The property on Sheldon Road is mentioned in Carol's August 24th, 1992 video diary. She mentions how they both lived there in an old decrepit house that they were fixing up, and that years later she tore it down and built a rental on the property. She also mentioned how she just can't bring herself to sell it. The property exchanges of what turns out to be two properties on Sheldon Road have been switched about 6 or 7 months after Don went missing. The vacant double lot next door has never been built up. I find this suspicious for a woman who is in real estate. Why exactly can't she bear to sell this property? Could this be because she knows there's a body on that property that she can't let be found? Thus all the switcheroos too in the deeds. This property was in the trust for Don's daughter, PRSL Trust. I think I have that right. She sold it in the conservatory to herself under a trust called Sierra Trading Company, which named a Walter Walcott as the president. The address on it comes back to another property owned by Carol Baskin. Well, that's just my thoughts, opinions, and ideas on the matter of now. So where should we start? Any questions, comments?
Okay, there is a question from the chat. Amy wants to know, did they ever ask the deputy if she was acting weird or something noteworthy? I know the latest said she was hysterical, meaning I guess when the deputies came up to her.
The story with Carol has changed so many times about what happened that night on Sheldon Road and her incident with her brother. But I don't know what the deputies who drove her home, who that was. We don't know who that was. He or she was never named. So after this had come out, do you see my screen anymore? It seemed to disappear.
It's black again. I was just going to tell you, it's black again.
Do I have to have it open?
Now I can see it. Now we can see it.
I wonder why that's doing that. That's a weird new trick, I guess.
It'll be a minute here on YouTube. Okay, there you go again.
I do have a question. Someone asked, were Don and Joe enemies?
I don't think
they did not know each other.
Right.
I don't think Joe Exotic and Don were not.
Yeah, they didn't know each other.
I don't think they were in the business at the same time.
Okay, how close are those properties to the road that she was on when the car broke down? That I found very interesting.
Well, supposedly the car broke down on Sheldon Road. I have some things here. Here, let's do one of these visual aids here. This is a map I made. This is Big Cat Rescue. You probably can't see my mouse. And right around the block, you see Fawn Ridge Boulevard on the map here. And that when we learned about the burglary, I went out and did my research like I do. And I looked in the paper for, they list their crimes in the paper. They have a little section for all of their crimes. And I found this one from Sheldon Road. There were a couple burglaries that night, but this is the one that was on Sheldon Road and in Fawn Ridge. And I looked it up to see if who the people were that were arrested on that date. And it was I was having a discussion with somebody from the Tampa Bay Times at the time, and they actually did FOIA some of the information on that case on Sheldon Road. So we do know that Chuck was there. So we have this road, which is Fawn Ridge Boulevard. And then if you go down, you'll see here, this red dot down here. That's where Sheldon Road, that's where her property is. There's two properties right there on that road.
So,
and that's right by Publix, which was, Publix now. It was called Albertson back then. It's 24 hours. It was right there on the corner of that Sheldon Road, Memorial Highway, and Hillsborough Avenue. So it's right there. I don't know where she was on the road when they came across her, right? Because we don't really have any information on any of that, other than that she keeps changing her story.
It depends on what version we're rolling with that day. So we can pinpoint, we know Chronister said that she was in the Albertsons parking lot. That's one place. But if she was in the Albertsons parking lot when they picked her up, how did she get a couple of miles away to find out her brother was on a burglary call? So that just doesn't make sense right off the bat.
The news story is she walked and heard her brother off the side of the road. And she decided, at 3 a.m., a police officer of the law, she hears him on the side of the road being a police officer. So she thought it would be the best idea would be to go over there and talk to him at that time. For somebody who is not very close with her brother, as she says.
Right.
So I found that very odd. I have some newer screenshots I've thrown into this document. I didn't really plan on
if there was reports made on her behavior or whatever, if there was, I mean, her brother could have easily made sure that they just disappeared. You know what I mean?
That's true. He is an officer of the law.
And if she knew Don was gone, it was coming into money. She could have said, "Hey, bro, I'll send you this much, throw you this much." I mean, Carol's dirty.
Right. So I've added the post, her description of her video on that video from 1992 about this specific land that she totally loved. One day there was a hurricane and a manatee surfaced right next to her on this little creek. That's another thing. There is a creek right behind this property. So you have Sheldon Road, her properties, and then the creek.
Yeah. And that right there, sorry, if there's manatees there, that means that it is connected to the ocean somewhere. And it will always, if you dumped a body in there, it will be sucked into the ocean eventually because everything flows to the ocean. That I know for a fact because I had manatees in my little canal right there. And I lived in Brackish Water, right off of Brackish Waters. So,
right.
So she could have dumped him right there in the little ravine or whatever, little river going through there. And sometimes they move fast.
So here's the actual property that was in the PSRL trust. Now, she kind of swifted this out from underneath the girls. That trust for the PSRL was for the girls. It was for his family, not for Carol. And the property next door was in another trust, but they bought them about the same time in 1991. But when she sold it to Sierra Trading Company. So she was like, "Oh, see, I sold it. We don't have it anymore. Here's your money for it. $11,000 or whatever she got the property."
But she owns it.
But she basically owns it, because if you look at the address, the owner name and the mailing address on here, it says 8013 Meadowview Circle. That is one of her properties right around the block on that road. She's buying up all these properties right behind, I guess it's right south of the Big Cat Rescue. So that's one of the properties over there, and that's who it lists to. And then that comes up to her mother's name, and her mother's name has a trust for that called Wild on Wings or something like that. It's just a bunch of switcheroos, so that the girls could not have that property. So why keep it from the girls? I mean, what is so big deal about this property that she just could not let the girls have this property?
Their dad's buried there.
I find this interesting. There's a tree right in the middle. This is on the property right north of it. That's also a double lot that they own. And that dead tree really, I'm like, that's probably where
Amy wants to
right
know
under
where
there.
Kenny was. Where Kenny is at this time. Amy wants to know.
See, I think Kenny was driving the van over to the airport.
Yeah.
To drop that off, to plant it over there, to make
wipe it all down, because remember, there was nothing on there except for a fingerprint of the mechanic.
But remember, they drove that van home from the airport. So there should have been whoever drove it home's fingerprints at least.
Oh my gosh.
Carol said she drove it home.
So if Carol drove it home, why are Carol's?
And Kenny also confirmed that.
So that means somebody, after Carol drove it home, wiped down the fingerprints after it came home. They thought about it afterwards. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, and also regarding the fingerprints, Carol claims that, I remember in one of her comments, I have it somewhere, but she said, who out there said that my fingerprints weren't on the van? And
they said only one person's fingerprints were found, correct?
And that was on the clear dash by the.
I think they said the only persons that were found. But here's my question: how this just like Stephen and Teresa? How would they have wiped all the fingerprints off except for Dale's?
Well, Dale's was inside of the dashboard where he put, so all of his fingerprints on the front of the dashboard are gone. But because he had to put the dashboard back on, he touched the sides of the plastic.
That makes sense.
Right.
Okay.
So that's exactly where his were found.
Yeah. And it was a thumbprint of his, from what I understand.
Right, from him putting it basically in the thing or whatever. Right. It was that like one print.
That even if Carol admits to driving it, is she going to admit to wiping it off? Her fingerprints would be there. They'd be on the door. They'd be on the key thing. They'd be on the steering wheel. Who else knows where else?
Right.
Probably changing the seat size. You know what I'm saying? Where was the seat pushed back in this thing? For a tall person or a short person? You know what I mean? Because Don was tall, wasn't he?
I'm not sure how tall Don was. Do you know, Nosy?
He wasn't as tall as her dad. But
what about Kenny? He's a short little guy.
Kenny's super short.
Yeah, he's a short guy.
Yeah.
So here is the record that the Tampa Bay Times person had gotten. This is from the call details of the Sheldon Road.
It was pushed back, Kendra said. Okay.
It was let's see if I can make this a little bigger. It was at the intersection of Sheldon and Fawn Bridge Road. I have recently, because it mentions the woman's name down here, I was able to look up that address. This is just basically the radio call-ins, and I did call recently to the sheriff's department to get these other badge names down here, because they just say unit and then they say Officer 1 PID. 2833 is Vernon Stairs. So when the call came in at 3:06, he says that he's en route, but for some reason he doesn't arrive, and then he's cleared at 3:10 a.m. So then he says freed. So then he doesn't actually go en route to this place until 3:21. He says he's en route. He talks to dispatch, and then all of a sudden he's there. He's there until about 5:15. He's back up. He's not the guy who actually was on the scene first. So he came in later. He came in from 3:10 to 3:21 is 11 minutes later. And when I looked up, this is the interesting, when I looked up how far it is from Sheldon Road, the address to the 881 Key West. That's the address of the burglary. It's 11 minutes. Look at that, 11
Imagine
minutes.
that. Imagine that. How coincidental is that?
How much? How like hello.
Yeah.
So going back to the other names on here, I thought, well, maybe one of these names is the person who drove her home, because supposedly in the first story, an officer, comes upon them on the road. He happened to see her break down. He stopped. Then another officer comes upon them. That officer drove her home, and he went off to the burglary. So I went to go ask what these badge numbers are, and I was able to find that. What are the badge numbers? I have them written down. So 3474 is a guy named John Duran. He's still with the department. 3415 is Andrew Baxter. He retired this past July. And then we have Michael Boland was number 40. He retired in 2009. 2833 is Vernon Stairs. But the actual primary person, where it says primary, 3692, who was the first on the scene, and he's the one with the report. I bet he was the one who actually arrested the guy. And he arrested two guys. There was two guys on that burglary, not just one. So what the fuck is Chad Chronister talking about?
What?
He says that he had a perp in his car at the time. Well, which perp? There were two. So this guy, I asked for this badge number. They have no record of this number, present or past.
Really?
So he is a complete mystery on who 3692 is. So I had first contacted personnel. I contacted FOIA, the open records lady, and asked her if she could tell me, and they said no, they don't have any record of it either. And then I said, well, can you look up the report writer, because I assume the primary person on the case would be the primary reporter in the records. Well, they told me it's on microfilm. So in order to do that, I actually have to, start the process by filling out their form online and asking for a copy of this record. And then they can go about checking microfilm and pulling the record and making a copy of it. So I'm still not sure if I'm going to do that or not. So I am curious because Chad Chronister was an officer at the time in this area. He was at Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. So maybe he knows where Chuck Stairs was because he was there. He was the responding officer. I don't know that for a fact. I mean, it's a possibility since I don't know his I should have asked for his badge number. That's what I should have asked for. Maybe I'll be making some new calls soon.
I bumped a lot of information on Chronister today in the group. So people that haven't checked it out, there's a lot of interesting things about him. We took the time to rabbit hole down that way, but led us back to nothing regarding Dawn. So, but feel free.
That's a great question, Kendra. Kendra.
What's the question?
Earl? I don't know how to say that name. Anyway, said, yeah. Would it be an officer from another precinct?
No, I mean, it was all the sheriff's department. They would be all sheriff's deputies. That's their jurisdiction.
So and they just made a ghost law enforcement to be their helper.
I asked them, I said, how does something like that happen? How does a report get generated where nobody knows who the person is?
Yeah.
And they said, well, it could just be an error in the typing on the report. Because that's
so maybe they purposely put a different number there.
Yeah, we see these typos all the time in these cases that are sketchy because
they have to cover shit up. So exactly, did he just accidentally on purpose put a different number in there so you couldn't contact that person?
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, Katie said Don Lewis was 5'10".
So did Ann McQueen when she wrote it.
Oh, is Ann here? Hi, Ann. Hi, Lulu.
She's here. Yeah, all the greats.
We love Lulu.
I added this to the theory too, because the theory now is she was walking along the road and she just happens to hear Chuck Stairs' voice coming up, from wherever, and she decides she's going to come upon them and walk upon them. So this picture is this is where the the burglary happened, this house on the corner right in here.
The red dot?
Where the red dot is. And she'd be walking. I put the closer walk, like the distance, which if she was really walking home, I would think she'd be on the other side of the road, because that's where Wildlife on Easy Street was on that other side of Sheldon Road. You go a little north and you make a right. But this is 200 meters, or I'm sorry, 65 meters, 215 feet away from this house where there's a burglary happening. As you see, this is like not a road there. She can't just like turn and go down the road and meet him.
How'd you see the cops?
There's yards. There's a bunch of yards. There's houses in between this street and Sheldon Road. So even if she heard him talking, how did she find him? Because she would have had to walk several feet forward or turn around and go back and go around the block to this road, which is like a circle road. So you got to go all the way to the other block, walk up, and then go into this road that squares out and out the same road that it comes in. It's like a cul-de-sac, so to speak. So how the heck, if this story can't be plausible either, in my opinion, because she just hears him in the middle of the night on a road. Okay, maybe voices carry in the night. Voices may carry, but how does she find him? Why would you go and find him at all? Why would you do that?
Well,
he's a cop.
You're clearing something up. I thought it was like a straight dark road that she was on, and seen the officers' lights or whatever,
Well, even if the officers had their lights on, they're not parked.
Yeah, how are you going to go through this? And then they say, and a fence was there too. And
there's a fence and
fences.
Yeah, did she jump the fence and go through someone's yard to go over to see who was there? I mean, this story of hers isn't plausible in my opinion either. This I just realized recently, like when I was talking about doing this video, I was doing a little more research, as this post is very old and we do have some updates on some of this stuff. So
forever changing, just like her story.
Yes. So I want to know what she changes it to now, because we know that this can't really be plausible. Even if the lights were on, they were on the other side of this house.
Even 20 years ago, come on, Carol is not going to be jumping fences.
Yeah.
I just don't.
And why take the time out of her long walk? She walked all the way from, what do you call it, which would be an hour and 45 minutes to walk from the Albertsons back to her home. It makes no sense to me whatsoever that she just came upon him on the road.
Yeah, and why would you go exactly, Amy? Why would you go towards a possible crime scene
with officers? How do you know you're not walking into a? I mean, does that make sense? And then she's also not close. Like she's said that several times, that she was not close to her brother. Her brother was many years younger than her, and that she just was not close to him. She loved him, but she wasn't close to him. But yet she's close enough to him to hear his voice, know it's his voice, carrying over a house and in a whole street, to hear his voice, to go track it down. For what reason? While he's on the clock as an officer. It makes no sense.
Something funny there about that being there 11 minutes after and all that stuff too.
Okay, yeah, it happens to be
just don't forget to factor in the fact that in one version of her story, now that you're talking about this, Jinxie, in the 11 minutes, the version of her getting a cab, and it's only 6 miles from Albertsons to her house. So she said she only had the cab take her about 2 miles, and then she walked the rest of the way. And in that version, she never mentions a deputy taking her home.
Well, right. It's another changing story. Now she grabbed a cab, and then first she walked, and now she grabbed a cab.
Sounds like now a person just trying to get an alibi.
I'm looking for that screenshot. I'm looking for that screenshot right now.
I added a couple of your screenshots to the bottom of this page, so anybody who's looking at this page can see what we're seeing.
Yeah, I put it in the chat. No, I think she looks like she's scrambling
So here's the view. Here's the view from where she'd be walking. That's saying she's walking on the west side of Sheldon Road and not
she'd been on the other
not
side.
the east, where she'd be going east, going home, right? So she's on the west side, let's say. We're just giving her, I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. This is the fence you see, like right through here, you'll see that tree between the houses. That's like the house that the burglary was at, in front of those two houses on that corner there. So she's walking along this cemented fence. You have houses.
Okay.
You can't even see a view of really, when you're walking by, what's on the other side, what she's walking into, and she decides she's just gonna hop this and go over to Sheldon Road. How does she, or
why was she going
to Fawn Ridge? Why go over there at all? Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. I want to know why she would be going and looking for the police anyway. She's just walking home. Her car just broke down. Big deal. Walk home. What are you going to tell the police?
And at this point, she's basically just around the block, a big block, but a block from her home. So why even take the side track over there to do that? It doesn't make any sense to me. So I always think something happened on Sheldon Road. It's just, what is it? And what I can think of is that's, if she's going to murder someone or kill someone, she doesn't want to have it at her home in case somebody does report him missing. I mean, obviously he had very close friends and family. He had Ann McQueen already calling him for days from Friday the 15th.
Okay, Jinx, that's why this is so. The reason why she's looking for a police, nobody knows. I mean, if your car breaks down, my car has broke down many times. I've seen accidents on the side of the road. I've seen cops at people's houses. I don't go up to them and tell them what, my car broke down, give me a ride. They won't do it. So that just is bullshit. You know what? And so she needed something to have an alibi to say that she was doing something that, after she got rid of Don. So why not seek out the police? That's a perfect alibi. Because it just
she
doesn't
didn't seek out the police. The police was already with her. The guy, her brother was already with her. I'm going to go by the original story that was talked about, that must be in the report, because remember, the investigator on the case, he talks about this in Tiger King 1, and the investigation indicated that she had left her home to go to Albertsons, and her car broke down, and her brother came upon her, another deputy came upon them, and he drove her home, or the other deputy drove her home. So I'm going to go by that original story that's most likely in the redacted record that we can't see, right? So maybe that's why they redacted it, because now Chad Chronister is giving them another alibi, a different alibi. And maybe that robbery, Amy Gatlin says, what if the burglary was a setup to divert attention? That's a possibility too. It has crossed my mind as well. I mean,
yeah, I've wondered that too, for sure.
Susan wants to know, so did Don's guns eventually get handed over to the sheriff's office?
Those did get handed to the sheriff's office in 2001? 2000 something?
2001.
3?
It was 2000, 2001.
Okay. And that was by his wife, Trish. So, Kenny's wife, Trish. Hey, Henbury! Sheldon Road is the new old cuss road.
Yeah, no kidding. It sure is.
That's funny as hell.
Something happened there. Something happened.
Nothing but a stump there. And this is what? Nothing but a carol.
There's another thing that I found interesting too. Like, I don't know if you remember that the morning of Monday, Sheldon Wind had an office building on Memorial Highway, not far from the Albertsons on Memorial Highway. And that is where supposedly Don, which we don't know if it was actually Don, had dropped off some real estate for sale signs for some property that they were selling. And he had dropped it off under the stairs at Sheldon Wynn's office, who was his real estate lawyer. And they assume it was Don because they were found there when Sheldon opened the office. He did find the signs there. So they assume that they were dropped off on or before Monday morning, which is when he left. And it just so happens that that's only like 7 minutes from the Sheldon Road address.
Right.
So lots of things are happening along this road. You can see Sheldon here at the Road. Red dot is where his office is, and Sheldon Road is just a little northwest on this road. And So I find it very interesting that all this stuff is happening on Sheldon Road. So it would be like the perfect opportunity for them to have everything happening on Sheldon Road and then plant his car, his van, all the way in Pasco County. Now nobody's looking at the properties in the area. That's, I think that is a big red herring. They put that over there. He flew away. He went to Costa Rica.
To distance him from where they were at.
Where they were really at. And all where they were at is all around this road. Somebody had to drop off these signs. So maybe that's what Carol was doing with her brother that morning. Maybe it wasn't hiding his body. But I have to say, well, you know, then where is his body? And I don't think it would be on the property that they shared with the tigers. I don't think he was ground up and fed. I don't think he's buried in the septic tank, but I think he's buried on that property that she refuses to sell.
Yeah. She refuses to sell it. And why? I mean, that's what she had it for, right? To make money and sell, to fix it up and sell.
Well, that's what they were doing. That's what their business was. Yeah. They bought properties on tax deeds and cheap warranty deeds and stuff so that they could turn around and sell them and mortgage them for a good mortgage. He was like a mortgage broker. Yeah. He was the one lending them the money for the place. They owed it to him.
All of a sudden, they're not doing that there. She don't want to get rid of it. That's pretty strange.
And it was a year after that, after Don went missing, that she did end up tearing down this decrepit house and building a rental. It looks like a trailer, like a modular home or something on there. So I'm wondering, like, if that house was the same footprint as the other house.
Henbury.
What's Henbury saying?
Have you changed your name to TK Fangirl? I don't know if he's talking to Fangirl.
Oh, he's talking to TTM Fangirl.
Right. Or maybe CFB Fangirl. Leave it to
I'm not changing my name to that. No.
And it's Carol Bitchkins, you know. That's what I call her.
Linda has a new name for her.
Yeah.
Bitchkins. Hi, Sean.
Hey, Wiz. You know, Jinx, I mean, there's too much going on in Sheldon Road. There's her different stories of that night, her flaying, going to check out police way down the street from where she's even, I mean, none of that stuff makes any sense. Then to have his van drop out, what? He dropped off the signs. Are they saying that the night that he went missing, he dropped off signs? He was worried about dropping off signs.
Well, there was an ad in the paper, I think, that week that he went missing, and it was for those properties that they were selling these properties. That was on his agenda, to sell these properties and make more money. So why would he purposely disappear on his own in the middle of making business, making money?
None of his disappearance makes any sense. The man just wouldn't do that. He wouldn't leave his family. He wouldn't leave Anne like that. I mean, that's more. I mean, how many people do you need to hear from that he would never leave his children?
The only person he wanted to leave was Carol Baskin.
Yep. And she made it.
And she wasn't going to let everybody. That happen.
And she got everything. How many times have you ever read a will that says, in case of my disappearance or I come up missing, everything goes to my wife? I mean, that's a little
that
bit
wasn't planned or anything at all.
Sorry,
on a traced document.
This is just more to the fire on Carol. And you're right. It is like Cuss Road in Making a Murderer. I want to know more about this road. I want to know more about the police that were there that seen her. The grocery store that everybody says wasn't open, but it's been verified that it's been open 24 hours a day. All that stuff seems shady shit to me.
And most of that stuff is linked in this document. So if you go to the description, you can get the link and open it, and you can see everything that I've put together. There's lots of link sources for the properties, so you can see the deeds and all of the things that were being signed. So,
I mean, come on, thinking people.
I also, there was a woman in group. I don't remember who it was now. This is a long time ago that we were discussing this in group. This was like one of my very early theories. And she had driven by the property, being in Florida, being in Tampa. And if you go past that property on Sheldon Road, it's covered. the front of it, you can't, there's like a little driveway, like a circular drive, go in one way, go out the other on these two properties. Remember, it's a span of 3 lots, and there's trees. It's a very hidden property. And then on the back, you have the creek, and across the creek and trees and everything else. You're enclosed there. You could do something with somebody's body. Even if she didn't bury him there, she could have possibly tossed him into the creek, which goes out to the ocean, or not the ocean, the Gulf of Mexico. I believe that's the side that they're on. And there's what do they call that? That strayway where it's like a beach that's not really connected to the land, but it's a little off the land. There's that little area, and then the Gulf. And she says manatees have gone in there. Hurricane brought a manatee in there. Could a hurricane take a body out to the Gulf? Maybe that's why she was so adamant about saying that he crashed in the Gulf, because she knows in some way his body floated away to the Gulf of Mexico. And then she could say, see, he landed in the ocean when he flew his plane in there, or in the Gulf. You know, I think there's something going on with that property there. It would be a perfect place, in my opinion, to bring a body to, either temporarily or permanently, just to get it out of the wildlife property, away from any seeing eyes. They had volunteers all over the property on days and days during the week. I think it would be kind of hard to just chop up a body, grind it up, and feed it to the cats without anybody noticing anything. That'd be pretty bloody too, don't you think?
Yeah. I don't know how they pulled this off. I just know that Carol is just way too suspicious, tells too many stories. I mean, how many people can predict their future and go back and read things that they wrote for their future? I mean, and go back and change their past like that in Larry's and get away with it. I mean, it's obvious what she does. Just nobody's ever taken her on.
Until now.
That's right.
I'm still looking for that screenshot. Like, I can't let it go.
Well, when you find it, I'll let you share your screen.
Holy shit. I can't let
Look
it
for
go.
it. Did you send it to me? Because there's a couple of these. This is her most recent video's description about what happened on. It's interesting because this reads like she talks about being up at 3 o'clock in the morning and then having Don coming home and Don going and picking up that car that night.
Yep.
And the phone cord being out, so she couldn't call him. And then she doesn't know the time because the alarm clock was out when he woke up an hour later. So they get home about 4, about an hour later, he's leaving. That would be early in the morning. Then she says in another one that it was 7:30 in the morning that he came in and told her. And it's like, where is your story? Because your story is all over the place.
Yeah,
the fact that you're changing it every 5 or 6 minutes means that you are lying.
Yep. Exactly.
And I'm just waiting for Hillsborough County to call her out on it and do something.
She went home after that, fell asleep until about 7:30 a.m. in the morning. When she woke up, Don was already up saying, hey, let's get the truck ready. I want to fill with the supplies and take it to Miami. So did he say goodbye to her that morning and she saw her, or was it before that and he wanted to take the truck? When exactly did she last see Don? Because nobody really can come up with an answer that she can even stick with. This is what Chronister's said in one of his things. Vulture said, pack up the truck to go down to Costa Rica. He asked her to grab one of the trucks and pack it full. They were going to go to Miami and then head to Costa Rica from there. So obviously he was heading to Costa Rica from Miami, not from the little Pasco County airport where his van was found. So she's changing her story with all of that too. So it's like, well, where did he?
She changes it on everything. What is she going to change now that Tiger King 2 is here? And like Henbury says, he can't understand why Carol effing Bitchkins can get away with this for so long and fool so many people. Well, because she got lots of money.
That's right. Money talks. And no. She had lots of Don's money.
Yeah. And Don's and his family's money. Let's get real. Them daughters. I mean, wouldn't,
I am so curious as to why the Harrodsboro Sheriff's Office did not pay attention to the whole conservatory information that was going back and forth during the time that he was missing. This is a missing persons case. There is a fight for the custody of this missing person's bank, basically. His office, his business wasn't even in Carol's name. It was in one of the daughter's names. That they did not pay attention to any of this. This is motive. Money is a motive for murder. So it amazes me that during this whole thing with this conservatorship and him being missing, that they didn't even bother to look at any of that. Had they looked at any of that tracing of the marriage certificate was actually found by one of the people that the family had hired. But because there were so many affidavits and everything else, and Carol had her own handwriting experts, it kind of got swept under the rug. And my question is why in the hell didn't the sheriff's office look at that document and determine on their own whether or not, with their own lab? Yeah, that is part of a missing persons case, is it not?
I hear you. Excuse me, but I think everything went messed up from get-go with this. When Carol, I mean, when you go in front of a judge with a will or a lawyer or whatever, maybe I'm just me, but if that said that on there, if I go missing and then my husband's missing and it says everything, I leave it to all my wife. I mean, come on. Doesn't that even just look suspicious? The first thing, and then
if not my wife, it would go to my wife's family and her daughter, and not to my own children.
Exactly.
That seems a little strange too.
I mean, the first thing they do in an investigation nowadays really is look at the people that are married or close to him, and what do they have to gain from it? So who had to gain from Don's disappearance or murder or death? The only person is Carol.
And because those documents were traced, in my opinion, and other experts' opinions, since I've come across that, she benefited from it. She benefited. It's not like she can turn around and say, oh, well, I didn't know he was, killed or murdered. You did, because you benefited from forging those documents to gain access to his money. And by the document itself, you started to do that in November of 1996, almost a year before he went missing. You were planning his death, in my opinion.
Yeah. Sean said that. Sean said from the day he met her, I think the last time she saw him, he was dead. I think he told her, I'm divorcing you. And she lost her shit.
Correct. That's most likely what happened. I mean, we know their marriage was not all hunky-dory. She talks about him in lovely words most of the time. It's like, why did you even marry him?
If you go back to her, I believe, December 26, 1996 video, and if you read the description of that video, if she hasn't changed it yet, it talks about, if you do this, I'll give you your divorce. So they were talking about it at Christmas of 96. Like, she said she was willing to give him his divorce if he would just do this and that. I don't remember the specific.
And what happened in June of 97,
right?
That he felt the need to go to the courthouse and ask for a temporary order of protection, or an order of protection against her.
Right.
So things were just progressing for months.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And then she lost it.
Well, and also one of the properties that she talks about, Anne McQueen embezzling and all this and that, or whatever, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she can correct me, the dates on that title deed, whatever thingamajig it was February of 97.
Right.
And so if she knew, if Anne had been embezzling in February, how come Dawn and her just let Anne continue to just,
It sounds more to me like Don wanted to hide some money from Carol because their marriage was failing in November of 96 and December of 96, that he started using Anne to put property in her name to keep it away from Carol. That's what it sounds like to me, so
Yeah.
that when he ended up divorcing her, this property would not be settled in any, and we know he was kind of sneaky like that, because he did the same thing to Gladys a little bit.
Like we talked about the other day, though, Carol had already watched what Dawn did to Gladys, so she knew that if Dawn did decide to do that, what he was capable of.
I wouldn't even put it past her that she convinced Don, because remember, she's with Don from the early 80s, right?
Yeah,
as a mistress
81.
to Don. And so I wouldn't even put it past her that she said, let's hide some money from your wife when you divorce her.
For sure.
Because she just seems like she's a gold digger.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, she had already gone through a divorce with Michael Murdoch too. So she may not have learned a lot from that one, but she did learn a few things from that one.
Correct.
Oh, she's seen him as Don as a gold ticket. I don't care what you say. And when he started getting like wise to her, she probably noticed him going to Costa Rica and bringing lots of money with him. You know what I'm saying? There could be a lot of truth to that, because maybe he was just trying to hide it from her. So when he did,
well, that's what I mean. If he's taking money to hide in Costa Rica, why not put properties in other people's names to get it away from her?
And he's scared because he got a restraining order, and he hands Anne a note. Okay, with that, if something happens to me or whatever, I mean, come on. Then they just, the 2 days after, what isn't it like 2 days after he's reported missing to Anne and the family, they go in and lock, take everything out of
his
the
office and everything,
and all the papers and stuff. He was smart. He knew.
And she wasn't on that business at all. That was a business that was in totally. I believe it was Gail. I think Gail's name was on that business title with Don, and it was supposed to go to Gail. So them coming over there and stealing his office, because his office was like a trailer that was on wheels and you could take it away. Why didn't the sheriff's office, they don't see any of this as being suspicious or red flagged or anything? They just oh, it's okay. It's Chuck Steer's sister, and they had problems.
High up is allowing her to get away with this. It has to be, because in any normal investigation of any sort, these would all be reasons to bring somebody in for murder.
At least to investigate them in
would be in. Listen, I've watched
in a person of interest type of way. They don't even say she's a person of interest.
That's crazy.
Suspect, okay, you don't want to call her a suspect right now, but a person of interest, she sure the hell is.
She should be number one.
Yes.
Okay. Who has to gain from? They ask questions. Who has to gain from Don's death or disappearance? Carol. Who has gained and
well, I think the problem is the fact that what is the underlying reason of why the department did not ask these basic questions?
Because of Chuck Stairs. That's what I think.
There's somebody in there that's getting paid, or is on Carol's side, or has benefited.
It's the thin blue line. Thin blue line. He is an officer of the law. He comes in and says this guy's nuts and losing his mind and has dementia, and they believe him because he is an officer and co-officer of their department, that they believe
it. To this day, Carol could be paying that cop. To this day, every month she could be making payments for his silence.
Well, I mean, Marsicano did say that they did find it suspicious after a certain point.
Right. But they never looked into it because she's a sister of a sheriff's department.
What else is funny is Marsicano says that they went out there and searched the property, but if you go to her YouTube videos, she says that they never came out and searched the property. So which is it?
And she would know they would come out to that property to investigate. Just like, okay, can you correct me if I'm wrong? Maybe you know this, Nosy, but the station wagon she is said to be driving that night, that was not her usual car that she drove, correct?
Not to my knowledge.
I thought I heard that somewhere, so I don't know. Maybe we'd have to ask Anne or someone.
There was a red Jeep.
Sean says, I think the first few years her brother was protecting her. Then people have got used to Don being gone. Interest disappeared.
Yep. And that's exactly it. They
But
just,
interest is high now, and there's a lot of money to
thanks
be
to
made
Tiger King.
if you know something. I mean, there's $100,000 to be made,
That's
and that's
true.
nothing to shake a stick at. So, it has to be somebody
Kenny,
that's either
Kenny.
benefiting.
Technically, there's $200,000 if
Well, that's even more.
if Carol's offer is still up.
Knock me over with a feather if I could get that shit.
Well,
let me tell you. All I know
what
is
was Carol? The way
somebody's
Carol
gonna
worded hers, it was like nobody was ever going to get that money, even if they came forward. They wanted him alive, and whoever did harm to him, or I don't remember how she worded it. It just the wording of her reward was very weird to me. I'll have to go back and look that up
I
again.
agree. Kenthrell. I can't say that name.
Kenthrell.
Kenthrell. Okay. I would think
I'm
there
saying
has to be more as far as cops go, because Chuck is no longer there. So there is something else holding the glue. Exactly. It's like somebody's making a monthly payment to somebody to make them keep quiet.
Well, if you think about it, Chuck Stairs, who was the officer who would be keeping quiet for her, because I do believe he was in on it in some capacity, whether he helped, red rum him or not, right? Or just move a body. He knows something. And
don't forget,
he's got properties now in his name too. I wonder if those were gifted to him from Carol. I'd have to double check on.
Don't forget that whenever the initial filing was filed against Carol and Kenny Farr, that Kenny hired Carol's former attorney, Eric Husby or something.
Oh, you mean recently when they started looking into the case again?
He just recently hired that Eric guy, and that was
who's paying for that, her or him?
I mean, I doubt we could ever find that out, but
well, you know who could is the sheriff's department if they went ahead and did an investigation, because they could subpoena those records.
Yeah,
they could subpoena his bank records, and I think that they have plenty of Kenny has been caught embezzling and all kinds of stuff, but he sure is living a pretty great life.
Yep.
Yeah,
for someone who was an embezzler.
Okay.
Right.
Somebody's getting padded by that. It just has to be, because I'm sorry, Carol, bitchkins doesn't scare me that much. That $200,000 wouldn't be nice in my pocket. Okay.
Also, she loves Kenny like a son. And what do we do for our children? Anything.
That's right.
And if he loves her like a mother, which I kind of find that completely odd, because
they
are not like I don't think she's all that much older than Kenny. I think she's actually closer in age to Kenny than she was to Don Lewis.
She might love Kenny like a mother, brother, cousin, sister, uncle, backwoods.
Yeah, let
me remind you guys that Carol Baskin had sex with her first cousin.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And some husbands. Yeah.
So whether or not he was her like a son to her might not mean a damn thing. In that regard.
I mean, that's called acting, playing it up, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Covering your ass. She'll do anything to not be busted. So will he.
Yeah, for the people that didn't know that is true. It's in her video liaries. Feel free to dig and find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just more of her liaries. I mean, anybody who, I don't care. Carol,
you would think that would be the one thing you would not want to tell on live TV, and you would lie about it. But no, she's very honest about that for some reason. That's a little. She's gonna be turning that around soon, I bet.
Well, if anyone read the filing for the Netflix document or the Netflix lawsuit, if you read what was in those documents, you would also find it very vomit worthy of the videos that she chose to use and what she described in there further.
And I love how her videos are evidence of the truth. Her talking about her lies.
When she said for entertainment purposes only. Okay.
How many times have you seen
please check my videos for entertainment purposes only. This is a fucking lawsuit.
Seriously, how many times has she rewritten her own lies?
I think right now we have tracked it up to around about 190 edits.
Of all of her videos, though, right? Not of just one video. I would like to know how many times she changed just the video for.
And doesn't anybody notice?
August.
I don't know how to get you that info, but I know Peggy might.
Yeah, all I know is how doesn't anybody find that in a law enforcement find that shit is funny that she changes all this shit? I mean, lady.
I honestly do. And I think it's funny, too, because if you read the article, I linked it here. This is the last link on this page. It's the sheriff's, Sheriff Chronister talking to this place. And he's talking about asking people on Twitter to help with the investigation. But then when you try to give him help as an outsider, somebody from Twitter or Facebook who isn't law enforcement, and you try to give them a clue or a hint or anything, they're like, oh, you're just a web sleuth, or, you're just a game chair detective, so you have no credit. Even though the theory might hold a little weight, wouldn't it be in the department's best interest to at least investigate those tips?
Garcia can sit on his little stool with his little thick neck, looking all mad with the red face and the attitude, all he wants to. But at the end of the day, he's going to end up saying thank you to all of us when it's all said and done.
That's right. Y'all got that interest going,
So he can sit there and talk shit all he wants to, but we know the real deal behind and off the scenes of the camera. So whatever.
Like they didn't know about the tracing until that was released last year, right? Like they didn't have any idea about what was happening in the
out there saying that it was confirmed the septic tank was put in years ago when it was a fucking lie.
Yeah.
Yep. So why on earth would Chad Chronister be alibying Chuck Stairs and Carol Baskin? He is an officer of the law and is required to investigate these things, and yet he doesn't investigate. He just makes up stories that alibi these people. I don't understand.
Cough, cough, Ken Kratz.
How can he still be a sheriff? I mean, it would have been good for him to get out of there.
Going down into a whole different.
Yeah, we know.
A whole different rabbit hole. I mean,
I'm sorry. Any normal investigation or police department that was interested in the truth would see all these red flags with Carol F. and Bitchkins, and then she would be questioned. She would be brought in. I bet you a prosecutor would probably try to start prosecuting her on this stuff.
You would think so, but unfortunately, Ashley Moody endorses Chad Chronister, and she's the Attorney General for the state of Florida.
Oh,
wait,
Lord,
say that again.
Mercy, another person in your
Ashley
pocket.
Moody is the Attorney General for the state of Florida, and she endorses Chad Chronister.
Well, of course she's never going to look into him then, because she endorses this man who obviously is
That's
inept.
right, Wanda. That's what I'm saying. Follow the money. And where does it lead to? Carol.
And if you do follow the money, you see that Chad Chronister, whose wife is the daughter of some mob guy, right? Wasn't he like... Or no, he was.
Let's get a little bit.
He was somebody that was. He was pardoned by Trump, the father of this woman.
That is Chad Chronister's father-in-law. He was pardoned for bribery.
And bribery. And they have donated money to the Big Cat Rescue. So
by default, she wasn't married to Chad then, but still.
I think she was. She was in 2000. Like I went back and looked all that up. She said she wasn't married to him. She was. If she was not married, she was sure as hell engaged. So it's his wife is giving money to this woman, whether or not it makes him look bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes them look like they're inside the scrawls of Carol.
And Chad is a registered Republican, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, her and her entire family are registered Democrats.
And isn't he like a Republican that changed to be a Republican shortly before he became in office or something?
Yeah, he switched it up pretty quickly.
Because he probably knew he wouldn't win against the Democratic candidate that he was racing against, that he would win against the Republican.
Maybe.
There's strategy there.
It doesn't matter anyway. They can say they're anything and be a total different person. It doesn't matter. It's
right.
That's neither here nor there. But somebody, it has to lead, just like in the Avery case, in a lot of these cases we see, it has to lead up high for somebody to be keeping this quiet. Because anybody below Carol would be turning themselves over for $200,000. I
Unless
can
they
tell you
made more,
this and
unless we
this,
can
and I'll
make
take
more
you
from
to this, and
Carol.
it leads to her, and make me a deal. Don't make sure I don't get into prison for it. Okay.
Well, there's, I mean,
Right.
Caitlin Statiel and her, I don't know if the offer is still standing. I haven't heard otherwise, but she has been willing to represent anyone that comes forward and to try to work out like an immunity deal. And even Chad Cronister came out and said he would be willing to work out an immunity deal.
But the person has to come forward first,
Right?
So
yeah, of course,
Right.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
that person, Kenny, should come forward
And it has to
ASAP.
lead to a serious arrest or, things like that. But
Well, and there
still,
was also, I remember back when we first started the group that Kenny Farr's stepson is married. His wife is Maria Montana or something like that, and her son had made a comment about hearing Kenny talk about it or whatnot. I don't remember where that was at, but it was circulating around. I don't think anyone's ever talked to him though.
You can join the Facebook group too. There's plenty of information and chats in there from the day it started in, what was it, April 1st or something that group was open?
April 1st.
You want me to put a link in? I'll go.
Yeah, you could put a link in for the Facebook group if you have one handy.
I'll just
you can join there.
I can find it. Get on Facebook.
Here, I got it.
Okay. There's all kinds of
info. There you go. A little bit quicker than I am with the wrench. Thank you very much. I've been drinking though too, so I knew I had to get on.
I've been drinking too, and I gotta pee.
Not me.
Let me tell you something. I gotta tell. I'll put out this advertisement. This blackberry ginger ale from Canada Dry. This shit is the shit, isn't it? It is good, and it's really good with some gin. So cheers to ya.
Well,
there's my advertisement for the day.
Says obviously Carol has a special relationships with people in power. Look at certain private zoos getting closed. The fact that hers is in no danger, the oversights, blah blah blah. Yeah, she does actually.
Right,
it's funny you mentioned that. Is I was going through some screenshots all effing day looking for one, and I can't find it still, but I did come across some actual documents between their email and correspondence between Howard Baskin and Kara Hooker, which we've covered. Ripper's covered Kara Hooker before and who she is and her connection and how powerful she is. And then you look at her father and you go on and on. So Kara already has that foot in the door and she's high up in charge with the animals. So I'll post those.
And why is it that she's never looked at? She was a cat breeder.
You guys keep talking.
She was a petting zoo. She has people coming through there for money. And, I mean, it's all a little bit weird.
Well, she claims she doesn't breed, which she hasn't since, allegedly since 2001. And then she does claim to be different with her tours because it's only like half the year and there's no one-on-one interaction and there's no cub petting.
Well, her cages look like shit for all the money she brings in. She should have a wildlife. Hers should look like Doc Antle's. It should be a paradise. Okay. And it looks like shit, rusty ass cages that are, it just looks terrible.
Sue says Carol works with the FBI to close these spaces. And that's actually a little interesting tidbit I learned last year. So on her board of directors is Keith Lawless, which we've all heard about. And he is also on the Boys and Girls Club board of directors with Chad Cronister. But Keith Lawless is like a co-founder of Cox Media Group. And he was involved in the Hulk Hogan lawsuit with the FBI and all that crazy shit. Well, allegedly, Keith Lawless is how Carol got her FBI connection.
Ooh.
Oh, really?
So Carol effing bitchkins and fucking bastards are idiots are working together.
Well, we don't have proof of that. It's just speculation.
Well, yeah, usually.
Where there's smoke, there's a fire.
Wanda, I was told that actually Kara is not, she's in their back pocket or whatever, but she's actually closer with Howard than she is Carol.
I want to know what's going to happen when
Yeah, the Big Cat Safety Act thing. I mean,
this hooker and these PETA people and these people go after everybody. Everybody's now out. There's no more there's no more Tiger King property. There's no more Tim Stark property. There's no more Doc Antle property. When all of these properties and little zoos and sanctuaries close down, we're going to have nobody. I'm just saying, if it happens, I'm just saying hypothetically, all of these little places get shut down all the way across the country. Then who's left?
That's not going to happen.
Who's left for PETA? Who is left for PETA? I don't believe PETA is just not going to go after Carol. They're just going to use her to go after everybody else till there's nobody left to take down except Carol Baskin. So she might want to watch her back.
But she's not worried about that because she has the same. She's not going to be worried about that because her whole end goal is to not have any animals.
Yeah, but when it actually comes down to her not having the animals, she is not going to take that well. Like she can say it. She can say it all she wants. Guys. She can say it all she wants, but is it something that is actually true to her?
She does not take in any rescues currently. She does not take in rescues. She gets these bobcats allegedly that are found on the side of the road, allegedly that are
which is a rescue.
Okay, well,
with no mom.
Allegedly, why is she still taking in animals?
Right.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, she can tell you that that's what she wants in the end, but in the end, she might really just want to be the only one standing and having these animals and being able to say, I'm the only one who can have them. And when that happens, is PETA really going to just let her be the only one? I
don't think that's accurate for her anyways. I mean, I don't think she's trying to be, because she endorses other animal places. You just have to be in line with the GFAS and all that other shit. Like if you're not on board with them and if you're cub petting and all that.
Once one of them go against something Carol wants, they're going to be on the 911 animal rescue site. You know, it's going to switch. And that rescue thing, that's all something that was created by her and her pals.
In my opinion, until these animal people who own these places, I think the only way to go at Carol on their behalf is a class action lawsuit, but everybody is too scared to do it.
That makes so much sense.
And I've been saying that for over a year, but no one has pulled the trigger on it.
They need a lawyer that'll probably do it pro bono so that they're not out all that money, because Carol Baskin has money to spend on lawyers and time.
Yeah.
And that's what scares them, I think, the most, is losing everything that they've ever worked for in their lives to this lawsuit.
And I don't think that, honestly, I don't care what anybody says. I don't think the Big Cat Safety Act will ever pass. It will never go through Congress. It's been denied time and time and time and time and time again.
Right.
Isn't that getting rid of, don't they want to get rid of your pets?
Yeah, that means you can't even have a cat, a house cat, or a house dog.
In the end game, yes. It's not like as soon as that bill's passed, say goodbye to your goldfish. That's not what it is.
But it's close.
It's close.
It's
just one step in a big long process. We would be dead before that ever happened.
Yeah. But I'm still saying that she just goes overlooked, like with blinders by everything that normal people would really be put up in front of courts for. I mean, just, there's a long list for
Carol, the weird thing is,
even just a couple that you think of.
With Jeff Lowe and their lawsuit, so it was PETA suing Jeff Lowe and Lauren, but they let PETA do their own investigation. That's just weird to me. Like if I sue you, Linda Kay, they're not going to let me go in your house and do my own investigation.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That sounds a little like making a murder too, like they're suing the county. So let's let that county in and do the investigation.
Literally, like the exact same thing.
I mean, okay.
There's a conflict
the similarities say it for itself, because there's something not right there, right? I mean, that is something you can put together with all these cases that have red flags or wrongful convictions. There is always something very similar to what we're seeing here that is wrong. And
there's plenty of lawyers out there. There's plenty of animal people out there. Someone just needs to take charge and set it off, because I mean, like Anne's lawsuit, the slander and defamation and all that. I mean, her 911 site is legit a defamation website.
Well, first of all, I mean, that's the thing. You got to take her on. You got to make her a loser. She says she never loses. Well, that is, you got to be found unlawful in something.
One day she'll lose.
Right. You have to be. I mean, some of these things that she has done, if people are able to press charges on or have investigated, and I mean, come on now. I mean, just the fact of the will, like I stated earlier, saying that is a very big red flag, especially it should be to law enforcement. Okay. But now if these people like the Don's girls and Anne can go back and, I mean, sue her for certain things they've done, or she continues to do, because she still talks crap about him and saying that that Don hated his family and didn't want anything to give anything to the girls, which is a lie.
Well, I mean, they don't care about what Carol says on the internet as far as, her opinions and shit like that. But I'm talking about the animal people, where her 911 site has literally financially affected their business, their reputation, all that stuff. That's literally slander, especially if they're not breaking any laws. Now, I know people don't agree with the cub petting or whatever, but if it's not illegal, it's just not illegal, like plain and simple.
And if you're making money,
for her to be able to go on a site like that and just bash and bash and bash, and I mean, even people like that dude I was telling you guys about on Discord, the Dean Schneider guy, like his animals are amazing. They have no access to the public. I don't know about him like outside of what I see on social media, but it's just like even he's on her 911 site and he's not even in the country. And there's so many other people, and that's slander. She's trying to ruin their image. And I mean, even Joe, I'm surprised that Joe never sued her well beyond the time that it all went down because of her stalking him. Like, I can't believe that he could have won in court because she was affecting his life financially. Like I hate that he did it so backwards because he could have won millions from her.
Right.
Yeah. People are afraid of her for some reason.
Because she kills. I'm sorry, but hello.
Yeah, she kills and gets away with it.
I cannot tell you how many people have messaged me and said that they would never join a class action lawsuit because they are afraid that they would be killed.
That right there is enough to be investigated. You're dealing with mob mentality then, okay? That is like, that's a lot.
Well, I think those people should go, file reports and shit like that. And
they're too scared. They don't have obviously they're too scared,
when we formed the group, people started getting like weird cars outside their houses with unmarked plates.
I wish people would. I'd go out and knock on
weird
that window.
Phone numbers from Florida started writing into all kinds of group members' phones. Like, it was crazy.
Oh, that would. I wish that would happen to me because I would go out and knock on their door or their car door. Can I help you? That's crazy. But do you think? I mean, this is where I think that if us as people that find and research and see things that are red flags and that are worth looking into, I wish there was some department in each state that you could bring this to and they would literally look at it, you know what I'm saying, and take it seriously. Instead of calling us, what do they call us? Armchair detectives whatever.
We're game chair detectives now.
Whatever.
We got a new name,
you know what I mean?
I love it.
It's really funny because the people out there, saying game chair, armchair detectives, let's not forget how many times they may or may not have been in group asking for help. So they can throw the shade all they want to, but
look at how much
hey, just because I'm not a police officer doesn't mean I can't connect dots. Connecting the dots is something you learn as a child.
Doesn't mean you're not logical and looking at it with an open mind.
It's just offensive to people that have spent thousands and thousands of dollars in time going to school and training and all that shit when we're sitting at home doing it we're doing it for free, but I'm sorry, but like Ripper said, the case could have been solved long ago. The case is solved. They just moved too late on it.
They just haven't done anything. Yeah.
And now people like Vernon they're not alive anymore. Mike Murdoch's not alive anymore. Even Mary Montenegro, she's not alive anymore. She just died of COVID. There's so many people that aren't here anymore.
Well, it's just, I guess it is what it is when it comes to these kind of cases. They wish for you to die off, forget about it, or not have it looked into, And I'm sorry, but you bring that on yourself when
in this case it should be an integrity people in the same regard, because they didn't do their job in the beginning. So why isn't there somebody looking at that?
Jinx, you show a million people a documentary that leaves questions, and of course,
64 million.
Well, you know what I'm saying. I don't know the right numbers. I'm not with that, but you know what I'm saying. And you're not going to have questions, and then you bring this on yourself, and then you come back, and here's Carol. She's changing her crap to meet the questions of Tiger King.
Well,
she's doing it again.
I said a long time ago in the very beginning of the group, she was doing her diaries, and I noticed there was one video that changed the game, and I said, y'all watch. Her diaries are going to start to align with all of our research. And it did.
Well, that's kind of what happened, right? Like, that's what she started doing.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
Like when she heard Chronister alibi Chuck, her story changed from getting a ride from some deputy to taking a cab to some deputy to walking by and hearing her brother on a call. Yep. So it definitely has changed with the research, for sure, over the past year and a half that we've been on this
case. Forged papers, the property that was owned, the guns being given. Let's just name a few other things, okay? I mean, honestly, right. Tiger King 2 could, if you all are so stupid game chair detectives, then why did you have almost 2 whole episodes in Tiger King 2? Excuse me, but bow down. Recognize.
I
believe it was a game chair detective that pointed out that the fucking thing was traced. They didn't know that.
Exactly, by George, I think Jinx thinks.
Yes. Carol did not ever acknowledge Trish until the Dateline thing came out, I think. The Family's Dateline episode.
Oh, that was last year in October.
Jinx?
Me!
That's right. I'm sorry, but I think all the stir got them into the family, getting into thank you for being there and looking into this, and you really want to help us.
But literally the sheriff's office, like, they have everything except a body. Like, we cannot produce his body. I'm sorry,
but you know what, people have been convicted of murdering without a body in the past. So it's not like they can't build a circumstantial evidence against Carol Baskin, including the tracing of these documents that her gained access to his money after he went missing, that they could put something together and at least interview her in an interrogation, and not just, so what happened to your husband? Like, actually interrogate her.
That's what I said.
They couldn't, because her legal counsel wasn't going to allow it. They had nothing to hold her.
Counselor is very expensive, and
And I also found it funny in 2011 when George Fernandez became a lie detector examiner. That was the year again that she was asked to do a lie detector, but her quote unquote counsel said not to. I just found it very strange that was the year he switched over from an investigator to an examiner.
There is no way Carol would ever pass a lie detector test. No, she knows it because her own self has changed her story 5 or 6 times, and that's got to be hard to keep a hold of on a lie detector test.
Excuse me, but I don't trust no lie detector or their damn people, because Michael O'Kelly was one. Look what he did.
Scared puppets. Yes. I don't know how that Costa Rica story got started. Put my jaw on the floor. I was like, this bitch cannot be serious. And then
because he was intended to go to Costa Rica.
I did ask Chronister why he said that about the deputy from Albertsons. I did ask him several times, actually.
And he don't answer.
In private message and on Twitter. And he didn't say a word to me. Now, who did start responding to me was his political strategist, Mr. Teeny Weeny Anthony Pedicini. And And he wanted to speak for Chronister, but he never gave me a straight answer ever. He never explained why he gave that misinformation.
Because he has to think up a good lie and keep it going. It's hard to lie. The truth is easy. It's a story, one story, that's it. And the lie, you got to keep changing your shit, just like Carol effing Bitchkins does. Every time she hears something different come out, she's got to go run and go check out all her shit and change it.
Well, I have no doubt that she's watching this video.
The police should be seeing that.
Oh, is Carol here?
I have no doubt.
Hey, Carol, bitch.
Talking about you.
Feel free to chime in.
Let me tell you, Carol, this is all for entertainment purposes only, and this is all just my opinion.
And our opinions are based on facts, my friend.
And our opinions are valuable, not like yours. Yours is just
no, I think that her and Howie and whoever her minions are watch the group, and we posted, so of course they're going to be here watching.
Of course. So guess what, Carol effing Bitchkins? You will eventually get it because the truth does always shine through. It might take a little bit, but your lies will catch your own ass. Believe that. You got enough rope to hang you and your whole crew.
So everyone, this is Linda Kay.
Yepper.
And Scared Puppet said, remember her interview when she said, now why would someone want to control the narrative?
Oh, I wonder why. Jeez,
because they have to control the narrative when they're guilty of something because they don't want the real narrative to come forth.
Narcissist.
If they control the narrative, then they can just go back. They say that's the way it is. Ken Kratz, same thing. Anybody that wants control,
oh my God,
will do that.
Who would win between Carol and Ken Kratz? Carol versus Ken. I think we should make it happen.
Oh, I'd love to see that. Carol versus Ken.
You know, Ken was at home watching Tiger King, being like, "This bitch is totally innocent."
Well, as he says in his book, that he subscribes, not subscribed, he still subscribes to Netflix.
Yeah.
So yes, he probably did.
Oh yeah, I know he was watching Tiger King.
I see it. Ken Kratz prosecuting Carol Baskins because she's high on the she's high on the important list, and you know Kenny's got to be on top of that.
He ain't a lawyer no more because he's a pill popping Uncle Santa.
No, he's busy with his brother and cousin, wifey, bifey, whatever.
His daughter, wife. Anyway, off track.
Yep,
but
I'm sharing pictures of my cats.
This past summer, when I went to Sheldon Road, by the way, I do have pictures I should have sent, but I have no idea where they're at. But it is definitely not an easy property to access. And Vicky Henderson, she went by there too, just like because she was just driving by. Yeah, and it's like there's an easement there. It's just not. There's literally you have to pull in the driveway to park. You can't park on the street, or there's nowhere to park, so it's made it very hard to access.
So therefore, my note in my post, I put that they were probably parked along the road. That would not be true unless he was actually parked along the road in his.
But it wasn't busy back in '97 as it is now.
That's true too.
And I was there in the middle of the day on a Sunday, so everyone's out to eat, church, all kinds of shit. Yeah, Scared Puppets. I was actually in the parking lot.
It's a Publix now. Albertsons is no longer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, not there. We have Albertsons here.
Do you still have Albertsons? We used to have Jewel Osco, which was a branch of Albertsons, but they sold them.
No, I got a member that works at Albertsons.
It was Winn-Dixie and Publix. That's what's out there now.
We don't have Winn-Dixie anymore.
Huh?
We don't have Winn-Dixie anymore.
Oh.
No.
Well,
we have HEB. It's expensive.
They might have that AGB.
It's interesting how stores change all over. Like Kroger's are in some stores. I've never been to
Publix is open it's open 24 hours in some spots. Isn't it Publix? Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Albertsons was.
So, like, we have Albertsons here, but none of our Albertsons are 24 hours anymore. In my area, like Kroger's are 24 hours and Walmart's, but no actual like grocery stores are.
Albertsons might have been sold and they just kept name in your area.
And we do have 24-hour Walgreens too.
Sue Smith, I do not know where she buys her kitten milk now. Probably from the mother that she says does not exist.
Right.
Hilarious. Long Drugs or Lucky Drugs. I don't know where that is. Never heard of it.
There was another thing that was happening in Tampa around this time frame in August of 1997, which was veterinarians were being broken into, and ketamine was being stolen from these veterinarian clinics.
True.
And ketamine is what they would use to put down a horse. It's a horse tranquilizer.
Oh, that's what they get
high on. Also use it as they would also use it to put down the big cats. But also it is an ingredient, or the most biggest ingredient in what they called Special K, which was like a club drug that they were making PCP. Out of ketamine. And I thought it was very odd that all of these clinics were being robbed of ketamine back in the day, and it was right around the time Dawn had gone missing. So of course my theory could go to that level where maybe she was stealing ketamine from these clinics,
or having someone do it to get the ketamine to drug Dawn. She says that her phone cord in her bedroom where Dawn was sleeping that night, meaning she couldn't call him on the cell phone because on her cell phone to call him, I don't know why she wouldn't call his cell phone, but to call his home line, it was not plugged in because some bobcats had peed on the line and she had unplugged it. So here we have Dawn alone in a bedroom, possibly with Carol, with a phone that he cannot pick up and dial 911 with if he needed to because it was unplugged. So yeah, I can see her drugging him with ketamine to pass him out and then to just smother him with a pillow. And if he tried to get a free and call the police, he would not have been able to. But that's assuming that he was still alive, because
after being drugged with ketamine, you mean?
No, that's assuming he'd be alive on Sunday. I think he was gone on Friday.
But we don't know when she actually unplugged the phone. The fact that she mentions that is strange to me. She also says in one of her theories, in one of the last theories that's on that page, is he was up when she got home and she woke him up. They went and picked up that station wagon right then and there. So at 4 a.m., he's awake and they're talking. And then they go back to sleep for an hour or so. And the last she remembers is him saying that he was leaving to go to Costa Rica that morning. We don't know if that actually happened. It could have been Friday night that she had done unplugged everything, and we don't know because she lies. She lies about everything.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about the mere fact of it being Sunday. I don't buy it, because there's no way that Dawn didn't answer Anne's call from Friday to Sunday.
That's not true either, because she could have had him drugged on ketamine for 3 days before he actually died. You know what I mean?
If she was going to do that, she'd have given him enough to kill a horse.
Right, yeah.
I mean, she's not going to sit there and watch him
unless her dad had him. I don't. No, she's got Jamie running around. No. She's got volunteers running around. She's got a maid coming in and out of the house. Where would she keep him?
Yeah. Well, maybe you wouldn't want him alive.
Maybe she kept. Well, okay, he's not alive. He's dead on the 15th. Maybe that's where the freezer comes in, and then they had to move his body before he was reported.
Amy, the car needed radiator fluid, for the radiator, and that's all Dawn did allegedly was put some fluid in the car and it started right up. But here's my thing: is I've had my shit empty before, and it was only 6 miles from the parking lot to her house. That car wouldn't have blown up, especially at 3 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock at night. She hadn't been driving it. The car was cold. Going from the house to Albertsons wouldn't have warmed up the car bad enough to where she couldn't have made it all the way back home. That's just, unless she had already that day been out driving it empty, but it would have blown then. So she's full of shit. Anyways,
Yeah, she's all full of cat piss and
She's
shit.
hypocritic Carol.
And then you factor in
Changes her liaries every
you factor in the 11 minutes thing where Chuck's like, you know, out just in thin air. We don't know where Chuck is, what he's doing for 11 minutes, and then the mileage matching up to 11 minutes. It's just too perfect.
That makes sense. Scared
Yeah,
puppets.
I found that the other day because I was working on this, and I was like, holy shit. It took 11 minutes to get from Sheldon Road to this address. And it just so happens it took him 11 minutes to get on scene from when he was freed at 3.
How many coincidences do you need in one scenario?
Scared Puppets makes a fucking A1 point. No cheating man is going to give his wife their phone. And that's, hell yeah, that's true.
What I was
That's another thing. She did have his phone. That was found out later in that week. And Carol finally answered and told Ann that she had the phone. So that's another thing. Why does she have his phone? Why does she...
Why is she
unplugging the phones? Yeah, why would you? If you're cheating on your wife, why would you give your phone? That's what the whole thing
much
is.
Going on with the phones for it not to be suspicious. Like, it's too specific about the phones. Like, there's so much like specific detail about the phones that it's just too it's too perfect for me.
And you're right. I know, Sue. And I had a car. I drove it. It was overheating. I drove it for 10 miles before I even had to worry. And then you know what happened? The neck blew off of it, and I still drove it another 5 miles home. I was cool. So she's that don't make sense either.
Kethril, I think that she did have his passports. Where's Ripper, by the way?
Yeah, why didn't he come and join my live? What a meanie.
Someone text him right now. Get him on the phone.
Don't worry about it. I'm supposed to be his favorite YouTuber, and he never comes to my live, so get real. We know how that works.
Ripper, we're talking shit about you. Where are you?
I texted him at 5 o'clock with a little goodie for his collection, and I haven't heard back yet. So maybe he's like working on a project that he's been working on.
Well, that's okay. Whatever.
Let's send him the link to StreamYard and see if he shows up. Hey, Laura. Hi, Lisa. Hi.
Hello, ladies.
Glad you can make it.
You're so right. Has Carol ever been known to have Don's phone at any other time? I guess that would be a question for Ann.
He's doing his makeup.
He's not too famous for us.
He's doing his makeup. He's going to be very, very late.
He can do whatever he wants. He's a silver fox. I love the dude. He's my number one YouTuber. And, that's just the way it is.
Hopefully resting that hip.
Yeah.
He's been doing some podcasts and stuff lately, which means he has to sit for long periods of time. So I assume he's not. Hey, Stacy. I assume he's probably in pain or something or resting.
Which Stacy's here? I don't see no Stacy.
There he is. There he is. Now you should ask him, can I use that part of your song in my
I have asked him, and he said he could. He said I could. Didn't you, Stacy?
Stacy is the one.
I asked him to write me a 30-second intro. Where's that at?
He's a lyrical genius. He truly is.
I want a game chair detective 30-second intro from you, Stacy.
Polishing his gaming chair.
Since we're all game chair detectives now.
It's nice to see you, Stacy. I hope you're doing good. I know you can't see me, but I hope you're doing good. Coming from your number one fan, always will be.
And your number one crush.
Yeah.
Which is me, in case you didn't know.
Oh, he goes, okay, I better go. Oh, no. Yes, I do that to him every time, don't I? No.
If you haven't heard his song, you should go listen to it.
Let me get a link
of that.
It's fantastic. Everyone
Listen
should
to
listen to
all
that.
of his music, even not making a murder. There's some he makes some beautiful music. He
Even my
really,
kids love that
does.
song.
You know what I noticed, Stacy, is you have this on your other channel, not on the channel with all the Making a Murderer songs.
I noticed that too, but I didn't.
I love his music. I mean, you don't have to listen to just, he does excellent work for Making a Murderer. I don't know anybody who could write so many songs about one thing and they all make so much sense because he read documents.
Even Zone.
I appreciate all that. And then how he comes up with just out of the blue. He's, very, very good at that. Plus he's a sculptor. He's got a lot of talents, but anyway, he does really
which makes
good
him
music.
just as sexy. More sexy.
Yeah, he's an artist in many factors.
Here y'all go.
I didn't start it.
You literally just did.
His number one fan did.
No, his number one crush.
Number one fan did, because I will always promote. I'm that way. Everybody knows Linda is a supporter of supporters. I'm a supporter.
Well,
where's his other channel? Let me grab his other channel for you guys.
No, we're talking about Carol F. and Bitchkins. See this?
What were some of those other links that were on your post? What did all those links go to? Oh, I hit my camera.
I think I have like the newspaper article that shows it was open 24 hours in 1977, the property deeds and all the properties that go to that Sheldon Road. Some of her links for some of her videos are on there because, of course, you have to listen to the video to get her side of the story that changes. So, yeah, there's some other properties that he could possibly be at. I know that Peggy and Group has a theory. Maybe one day we'll get her on and we'll have her discuss her theory, her property. And then there's also the property where the van was found up in Pasco County is actually not very far from the 600-acre tree lot that she wanted to keep for herself and have her family move in and bring the cats out there. And she was hoping to make the sanctuary, and then a little piece of the pie would go to her mom and her dad and her brother Chuck, who she's not close to, one for her daughter Jamie, little trailers all around the property, and then the big cats and the little cats and whatever cats. That's the property that was sold that I think totally put her on edge, that, made her forge these documents was not long after that property was sold. That's up in Pasco County, not far from the airport where his van was found. So another property I would look at if I were police officers looking for Don would be that property that was 600 acres, not far from the airport in Pasco County, that was sold. That would be another good area because she could sneak onto that land without being seen in the middle of the night, plant his car over there at the property, the airport property, and be done. I mean, it's as simple as that. So I would look at some of her other properties as well, not just Sheldon Road. I would look at Pasco County. There was the one in Stephen, I think it was, that they were at the lake. That was out in Stephen where they dived the lake. I'd have to get Peggy in here and have her tell me the other one that she talks about. I sort of looked into it a little bit, but there's so many properties that Carol Baskin inherited after all of this happened. So all of those properties should be looked at, not just the big cat rescue or wildlife on Easy Street, because they were in the property business and they had property all over.
I think she owns too much property to not be checking properties, if you know what I mean.
She's definitely got her craft down, that's for sure.
She sure does. Lots of properties that, could be bones buried there or something, or you know what I mean? She's just got too many places she can hide a body. She's got too many excuses for what she's doing, and she looks like the biggest suspicious person ever in this case. And I do not believe law enforcement does not do something about it. It just boggles my mind. Just like in Making a Murderer, they see this stuff and it's like, are we the only ones that are seeing this, or are we in the Twilight Zone? No. They're covering it for a reason. We got to dig and find the reason why they're not taking charge of her.
Hey, Mose.
Hey, Mose.
Long time no see. I have to agree. There's something going on there with her and her properties and in the sheriff's department and why they have not looked. So get on it, sheriffs.
No, I'm gonna check it out though. Thank you, Stacy. Everybody watch Big Dipper. It's on Netflix, based on Germany, but highlights the lack of motivation of law enforcement once a case gets old.
Dig Deeper, is that the one about that woman? Is that a woman?
Yeah, I was going to see that. Yep.
Yeah. Is it in English? Because I have a hard time following stuff when it's not in English.
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, follow the money. You're right. And where's the money lead, Scared Puppets? Right to Carol. That's what I'm saying. She's the only one that benefited out of this, because if I could see if things were going to the children or things were going to Anne and Carol was fighting for that, okay, that'd be a different story. But there's nothing going to the family, nothing going to one of his best friends in business ever that knew everything about. That makes no sense at all. And that she is inheritance of all of it. And if she can't have it, her family, what?
Nonsensical.
That is the biggest red flag and the biggest reason. She had the most motive. She also had the most opportunity, right? Motive and opportunity, big things. And
what are the three prongs of Denny? Motive, opportunity, and a direct evidence, a connection, which would be her tracing or forging those records would be a direct connection.
To him. That's a direct
She's got
connection.
Opportunity. She lived with him, and she has motive, money. So I don't know why they haven't looked at her even as a person of interest, let alone a suspect.
I try to figure out, what did she do or say to convince Kenny? Like, what use did Kenny have?
Payments every month. He could be a rich boy.
Yeah, but there wasn't anything before Dawn went missing.
Was she having a relationship with him, maybe?
Well,
is that a possibility?
One day
I don't know. I mean, Carol liked men in power that had money, blah, blah, blah. And Kenny was a handyman.
But she also liked men who could do things for her that may not require money, such as getting rid of a body, getting rid of a van, getting rid of this.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe just sexually pleasing her where Don may not have been.
Gross.
It may not be a money, but she did. I mean, wasn't there properties given to him in his name? Wasn't there a truck given to him? Money. Money is a big motivator for a lot of people.
Yeah. Especially people that
went on behind closed doors before Don went missing.
We know about the special K parties.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? There's just some things that they're missing in this puzzle piece that are the truth. Okay.
Well, they may have it. They are just not going public with it like we have, because the only reason we have is because they haven't said, okay, stop, we'll work with you, blah, blah, blah. Don't post it in your group, send it here. Like, we didn't even get that.
Okay, so that's why.
What's even crazier is that they reached out to the Cold Case Institute of Florida for help. And when they told Chronister what they needed to do, it was work with us, because we were so far ahead that they couldn't even assemble 40 people together to catch up to where we were. And he just blew it off.
Because we're game chair detectives and we're not actually detectives.
Okay, I don't like the game chair shit. I don't care who started that dumb shit, but I'm armchair.
Yeah,
exactly. I got a game chair.
Armchair detectives, BFAD.
I love the game chair. I think we should start a company called Game Chair Detectives Inc.
A nonprofit.
Senior.
A nonprofit. Perfect.
Armchair detectives.
That won't piss anyone off.
Look, when you can find things that are factual that show a corruption, then call yourself an investigator, because that's what you did. Okay. So words go where words are meant to be.
Yeah, I mean, there's many
Simple
states
as
in
that.
the country that you don't have to be a
The
licensed
shit you
investigator.
hear
You can
about,
still do investigations. You just can't tell people that you're a licensed investigator. I mean, I
that's
can do
right.
that where I'm at.
And guess what? Just because people are jealous that they get paid to be as good as you doesn't mean that what they're saying is true. They're just mad because
Well, I
you're
wish I
doing
would get
it.
some payment. I need some money. It's Christmas
You do it
time.
for free, and you do it for the right reasons, for justice. That's why we're all here. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody getting rich. And you know what? If either one of you or me, if somebody comes and asks me, hey, you want to be in Tiger King and I'll pay you, fucking right, you can pay me. Thank you very much. And I ain't got a problem with it. You know, so if you guys, any one of you, which I know you didn't, but if any one of you did make money, bravo to you, because your time and your brain are worth it.
I
know people don't like it when they, oh, you're making money off this.
They're
kid.
just
You're
jealous. Do they got to
I'm
pay your
sorry,
bills?
but if you're helping people and doing what you love and you make a little money doing what you love, what is wrong with that?
Nothing. Because guess what? Time is money and brain is money. Brain is money. They pay thousands of dollars to have people think for them. You know that? So you're just making a couple little woo-woos for your time and energy. There's nothing wrong with that. And I wish you would get paid for it, because what you guys do is sometimes very valuable.
I did get my Dateline hat and shirt. See, it's right there in my little icon. That was my
Oh my gosh. You got a whole hat and a shirt, you bitch.
And some spray sanitizer that says Dateline on it.
Sanitizer? Oh my God. You are such an awful person.
Well, you should be making real money for your time, because sometimes it's life-saving and it's very valuable. It's helping people get step closer to the truth. And that's, you know, people get paid for that. Why shouldn't you? And I'm just saying that because, you know, if they came to me for it, I'd say, hell yeah, give me the money. Thank you very much. And I would have no shame in my game.
Right.
It's like working a job. And a lot of us are here 24/7 doing so.
Well, it is work. I mean, you don't just, you know, come up with a theory without reading the records.
There you go,
through a bunch of stuff.
Them lawyers have no problem making money touring around the world when they ain't doing nothing for the people that are sitting in prison.
I could say the same thing. I could say the same thing about somebody flipping a burger in McDonald's. How dare you make money off the hunger of another? You know, I mean, what the fuck is that? You know, like.
And here's another thing that people forget. Who's to say we weren't offered money?
And
yeah, well, I wasn't, but
I'm just saying, who's to say we weren't and turned it all down?
Yeah, that's true. I don't know that. I'm just saying I wish you would make money off your brains, because I think it's valuable. You guys have done a lot, whether people that have a badge are called so-called authority that screwed up from get-go anyway. Why would you want to listen to them? Have a down opinion about what you're doing when you're doing nothing but good. And believe me, it's only because they wish they would have found out the shit you did 20 fucking some years ago. Okay. So their lapse in doing their job right and giving it to a civilian who is curious and digging for the truth. Well, I'll take you guys anytime. Thank you very much.
Well, maybe they should have a group of civilian people that work closely with officers on old cold cases that they don't have time to look at. And then when there's a, you know, viable lead or something that comes out of that research from the citizens, then you take it to the cops and they do the actual, you know, investigating of it.
And let's not act like the investigators and police officers and lawyers out there, let's not act like they don't use scummy ass informants off the street.
Not to mention they make money doing their jobs, right, off these people.
Listen, what I'm saying is exactly that, Jinx. I said I wish there was a department in the justice system that would take people like you and Nosy and Ripper and all the researchers across the board for any platform that are looking and digging into this and finding true answers. If they would look at it and then go to the case and help you, because they can get access to different things you can't. But why not work together? Because again, working together makes more sense than working against. You get more. Teamwork is the dream work. Team, you get, everyone achieves more, or right? Everyone achieves more or something like that.
Foul play.
Whatever.
Together, everyone achieves.
It's true. If you work together, you have many more brains, many more avenues to travel. Somebody might be, like really good at, like you, Jinx, genealogy, people in their tree. You know what I mean? And Jinx and Nosy knows. Believe me, we can say several things about her, but health is her best asset. Okay, for real, she can get answers. Okay? And then there's people that can look into property and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? But that is valuable, and the police can use that. They should start recognizing.
I have the good idea, Nosy.
Look at Gabby Petito.
Oh God, what is it?
You would be able to be solved through Gabby Petito. That shows good. Okay, what you're doing is good.
We can be investigators, and you can be the good cop, and I'll be the bad cop.
I'm not even talking like that. I'm just taking
I'm way meaner than you are.
I know, and that's why it would be weird.
Okay, here we go. Here's Giggle Fest number 1. Giggle Fest number 1 coming till the end.
I have had a couple of drinks now.
Seriously, now we're gonna just
like no one is gonna buy me being the good cop. That's just not gonna be.
People who don't know you, and then we could switch it up, and they'd be like, "Wait, what the fuck just?"
Notice how they leave me out of it, or we'd be the 3 Stooges because what the fuck?
God.
Well, if there was 3 of us, how the hell are we gonna fit in the cop car? Someone's gonna have to sit in the back.
No, and I ain't no ornament either, so forget that shit.
Right.
We'll prop you right up on the hood, Linda.
You can be the
as long as I don't gotta be no report Andy, I'm good.
We'll give you an umbrella when it rains.
Look, all I gotta do is be the comedy relief. I'll be good with that.
That's good too. We all need a little comedy relief, especially in some of these cases where they're very upsetting. Peggy. There's what?
There's Peggy.
Oh, Peggy.
Hi, Peggy.
Going 2 hours late. No big deal.
Have we been on 2 hours?
Would I be? Well, I'd be the one that pokes everybody in the eyes and tells them to stay.
Just kidding. At least you showed up on like Ripper.
We were just talking about you. I want you to come on one day and do a live with your theory on your property. I don't remember the property that you were looking into, Peggy. I know I have it. I was researching it a little bit when we were talking about it. But maybe we should do that property as well.
Oh, you didn't have to delete that, Scared Puppets. I read it. It's okay. I don't care. You can
what
call
did
me
he
any
say?
one of them. I'll be Larry or Shep or something. I don't know.
I still see it.
Yeah, because you can't delete it from the inside chat.
Oh,
somewhere inside here.
Yeah,
here is that where it is?
That's funny.
Copeland.
What did he say? Let's see.
Peggy said Copeland. Yes, that would be fun.
Yes, so we should get together maybe and talk about doing a live on that address.
He's a lady of knowledge too. She should be getting paid too.
She's hell of a good too. Yep.
Hell yeah, she's good. I mean, I learned a lot from her just watching chat. And when I get tuned out in the live.
There are a lot of good researchers that have come into the Facebook group that do a hell of a good job looking at the records and connecting dots. That's what it's about, connecting dots.
Maybe if you can't tell Hillsborough County to move on anything, maybe there's another county out there that could.
Well, I don't know how you would bring it to another county unless you brought it to Pasco, where his car was found.
Well, I'm talking about all the forgeries and stuff. Those are all over the place.
Well, even those, I believe even some of those forgeries happened on that Pasco County.
Polk. And
Polk was where they got married. I don't see a lot of documents for property in Polk, though.
The property off of Sheldon Road, is that what you're talking about?
That property is in Hillsborough County.
Yeah.
Hillsborough County. The 600 acres that was sold shortly after she forged those. Shortly after that property was sold, I believe she forged those wills.
POA.
And no, the will and POA was not. It was filed anywhere that they had property. but because you'll see the will and power of attorney also filed in Pasco County and Hillsborough County and this county, and I think it's just they had to file that to get access.
Kenny was given property in Polk County.
Yeah, Kenny was given. Yep,
yes.
Polk County.
Where is Polk County at?
It's Polk County by Sheldon Road.
No, Sheldon is in Hillsborough County as well. It's
Polk County is like a county over.
Polk County is where they got married at.
I think Peggy lives somewhere in Florida.
I love Florida.
Around there.
I'm gonna get back on St. Augustine Beach where I used to live. That's beautiful.
I know the Stephen property.
Lisa said Lakeland, Florida is where Polk County
is. Lakeland. Okay, I know where that is.
I have no idea where that is. I'd have to look it up.
I know pretty much where everything is in Florida if you name it. I mean, I've been through the whole damn state.
Okay.
I traveled it. I lived there.
That would be interesting to see what somebody else had to say on the case.
On the island.
Oh, Peggy lives in Polk County. Okay.
So, I know that there's properties all over that could be looked at that law enforcement has to look at. I can't go up to her property and be like, I'm going to search your property with a sniffing dog. That's not something I can do as a civilian.
Right.
That's why it would be great if the law enforcement would take some of these thoughts seriously and at least give it a thought, of their own. Look into it on their own just to see if it might be worth it.
I just, like I said, I do believe they need to get some form of law enforcement for the armchair detectives. You guys have come up with stuff that could maybe solve a lot of cases in the missing people's era and a lot of other things. And I just don't get why they don't take what you do seriously enough. And I'm sorry, any non-corrupt police department would be questioning Carol. I'm sorry. She would have been in for questioning. She would be number one suspect.
So well, if you remember
licking that girl's feet,
or you remember from
down with I don't know, tiger powder or some shit. She's got something.
If you remember from Don't Fuck with Cat, I don't think she's pulling any strings at HCSO unless she's just, if she's paying people off, there's going to be paper trails. And I just don't see that.
I do believe that Chuck Stairs' daughter now is married to an officer that is part of the sheriff's county's department. And I believe she also works as a civilian in the department. So there are still connections to the sheriff's department.
If you remember from Don't Fuck with Cats, they also in that show, they did not listen to them either. Not until way late in the game after people were getting murdered.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they should be taking us a little more seriously, right?
Right.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm sorry. They just really need to start paying attention and stop being, little wussy and mad at themselves for not doing a good enough job in the beginning.
Garcia said they would need really big probable cause to search BCR because the cats would have to be moved.
The problem is they need to search other properties, not just Big Cat Rescue.
Yeah, she owns a lot.
My opinion is she is too smart. I'm sorry. Carol's a smart woman. I'm not going to say anything else like she's a dumb idiot because she is, an intelligent and smart woman that got away with this for years. So I don't think they need to be looking at BCR at all. They need to look at her other properties, but they would still need big probable cause to search those properties. And what is more big than her tracing and forging documents that gave her his money when he went missing?
Everything that you guys have come up with should be probable cause for warrants on her property.
Well, Chad Cronister said that the problem is statute of limitations, but we know
there
that it
is no statute of limitations on murder.
That's what I was saying. So that's when we say why, that's why, because he can't prove that she murdered him.
But the only way to prove that is to investigate it. To sit on your hands at your office with your thumb up your butt is not helping solve a case.
To search Sheldon Road, he would have to dig up the foundation.
There is no foundation there. There's just 2 lots of land. He could just take a dog over the property and see if there's anything sniffed out. If so, you dig. Okay, now you got a dog hit, right? Now you can either dig there, or you could do they have all kinds of technology now. They could go over the property without even digging, see a spot where there's been dirt that has been
it's a
manipulated over the time, that they may be able to see that there's something buried underground. Then you take your where that is and you dig only there. It would narrow it down, and they do have probable cause.
Excuse me, but they just did that.
Yes, with Crystal Rogers
case,
and they found something, didn't they, on some property, and they dug it up. Crystal Rogers is missing from Kentucky since 2000. Her dad's
killed in it.
And then her dad was killed. A couple of her brother-in-law, well, not her brother-in-law because they weren't married, but she had a kid with this guy named Brooke Hauk. Brooke Hauk has a brother named Nick. There was an officer murdered not too long. There's a couple murders going on in Kentucky in this where is that? I want to say Bardstown or something like that, Kentucky. But the girl is still missing. The father was on to something, and it seems like the father was then killed, and it looks like it was a hit on the dad. And the dad was actually with the daughter's son hunting on their property when he was murdered.
And the reason why is because he was digging into everything. He had everything looking for his daughter.
He was trying to find his daughter. There is a show on I think it's on Oxygen called The Disappearance of Crystal Rogers. If you have not seen it, it is a very good docuseries that maybe you should watch, and it's about her case. So there's another case for you to look at, and it's a missing person.
But they did that exact same thing. They did the ground sonar. Recently. And they don't have enough to bring him in, but that's just what I mean. They don't have enough on him, but they have enough suspicion to do that. Okay,
to get the warrants to do that kind of thing.
You know what else though? You know what else though is that they still, even as of the Tiger King 2 dropping, the department still has not spoken to Joseph Fritz, his attorney,
and that was his other attorney. Yes. So
okay, that's what I'm saying. With these other cases that are being done legally, they are doing something about it with less information than what you have on Carol.
The thing is how do you get questions answered if you aren't willing to ask them? And that's what I ask about the sheriff's department, because if they're not willing to ask these questions and actually look into the questions that are being asked and try to find answers,
aren't the properties on Sheldon Road, those properties are rented out, right?
One of them is. She has never ever developed the other 2. Like, this is a property. One property was in the PSRL. I think I'm saying that right. It might be PSRL. Anyway, it's in the trust for the ladies, for the girls, for Don's daughters and family. And next door, there's a double lot. So it's 2 lots, basically, that are next door that they also purchased around the same time in another trust, in the trust for LBJ or whatever his other trust was that was more for him and Carol and whoever else. That property has never been built up. So there's 2 lots right next to the one with the rental that she just doesn't do anything with. Now, if you're a real estate person and your goal is to make money and to buy properties, build them up or fix them up and resell them, why are those 2 properties next door sitting empty for the past 25 years?
So if the sheriff's department showed up to the one house with renters and said, hey, we're asking your permission to let our dogs sniff around the yard, do you mind? And they said yes, could they legally do all the lots?
I don't see why they couldn't if it was if they got the permission from the resident living there.
So what about if some crazy game chair detective, like, I don't know, by like the name of Ripper, goes out there and just happened to knock on the renter's door and just said, hey.
I did look up the renter.
That'd be fine. I lost something there. You don't have to say what it is. Say, I lost something there. Can I go over there and look?
What? Yeah, just yeah. I walked through your property last night, and I think I lost my wallet.
Well, I mean, that's going to be a stretch if you have a dog.
Well,
Why
right.
not?
I
Walking
mean,
your dog?
For bodies.
my dog got out and I had to
They look
chase
like
him through your
regular dogs
yard,
on a
and now I
leash.
lost my wallet. Do you mind if I take my dog through your yard again and then be like cueing him to find remains? I mean,
I wouldn't even do all that. I would just talk to the
be totally
neighbors.
honest and be like, my name is, so and so. I would like to bring on my dog sniffing dog. You rent the property from Carol Baskin, who may or may not have had a hand in the disappearance of Don.
I wouldn't even say all that. That's too much.
I would say,
I would like
excuse me,
to
but
sniff
me
your
and my
dog.
dog.
Well, why else would you bring a sniffing dog there? You got to
You
be
don't have
honest.
to. You don't have to
It's a
give up.
sniffing dog. It's a German Shepherd.
You don't have to give so many details. All you have to say is, I'm researching a case. This property's involved. Do you mind if my dog sniffs around?
The problem is they may be scared of Carol and say no.
Right, but if you go into detail about her killing her husband, that's not really going to make them relax too much more.
Listen, I'm telling you, I know Jeff Young. Okay, he's got that dog Zoe, who has put on remains from 1800. If I asked him to go down there, he would. If he would go ask permission, because the only reason why he didn't check past road is because they won't give him permission.
Yeah, I gave Ripper the name of the renter back then.
And honestly, if I could get a hold of a sniffing dog, I'd go there and say, "This is my dog. I took him for a walk.
Hold on, Linda Kay. Wait, the renter from 97 or like in 2020?
The renter from 2020. Like, if you wanted to go there right now, you would have to ask the renter. Like in 1997, it was a decrepit house. It wasn't even
right.
They didn't build it up again until after she sold it to the Sierra Trading Company, which was basically herself, and fixed it up in a year later. In I think it was it had to be 1998 sometime, like 6, 7, 8 months after they sold it, out from under the conservatorship and under the girls, right? Like that property should have gone to the girls.
Y'all know this renter's about to get a letter from Carol Baskin being like, no one's allowed on property with a dog.
Yeah, because she's seen this. No shit.
Hi, Carol. I just wanted to say hi again. This is all entertainment purposes and just our opinions. Just
entertainment purposes only, silly goose.
Oh, well, Laura, check out Jeff Young, his dog Zoe. Check them out. I mean, he's from out of Utah. He is his dogs are very, very good. They're bomb sniffing, remains, and search dogs. So he trains them. He's very, very good.
They have one for each purpose.
Right. I had him on my YouTube channel because he was going to go search for making a murder, go search on Cuss Road, but they wouldn't give him permission at the deer camp. But everywhere else, they gave him permission. Do you know that? He had permission from a surrounding area, but not from the deer camp.
And can the dog can tell the difference between an animal and human, right?
Oh, definitely. And can tell and Zoe can find remains that are from the 1800s, has proven it, has found it remains 25 years old that were in the ground. And actually the tree that grew up from where the body was had the scent in it too.
What up, Himberry?
See, that's why I wonder about that dead tree in the middle of the other property. It's like not on that property where the house is, but it's on this property next door.
Look him up. His name is Jeff Young.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. They would have to find probable cause to get a search warrant for just that property. I just don't see how they could make that happen.
Probable cause, like I said, is that forged, like, no matter what, whether or not that they can go after her for the forgery is beside the point, because that forgery is evidence.
It's the whole thing
in a motive and opportunity and direct connection to the disappearance of Don Lewis.
And any non-corrupt police force would be questioning her, most definitely, because she.
Does anyone know if Florida has an IA or whatever?
What's an IA?
Internal Affairs.
Yeah,
well, I'm sure they do. Florida's a very corrupt state.
I'm not sure about internal affairs because it's just an internal office. investigating their own, and I don't find that very credible.
I don't either. But
Yeah.
I don't think they have integrity units there. You know, I mean, I just don't. But if you found remains, I mean,
Well,
that's
damn, man. I want, hopefully, Ripper's next trip, he makes a little visit.
Little visit to her.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey,
So no matter how small, no matter how old either, they just know the difference between a scent, like you're walking, and they were looking for missing persons, or cremains is totally, totally different. They know the difference between animal cremains and human, and they will find it even in the ground, in the tree. It's amazing how they train them. And this dog happens to be trained for search, for cremains, and for bombs.
It's really strange that they wouldn't let old boy do the deer camp. That's pretty interesting.
Well, yeah, you can. I mean, I had him on the show. Me and Scooby Doo were going to go down there with him and everything. He was going to fly in from Utah and go search it.
Did you ever contact the people who own the property on Cuss Road?
Yeah,
the deer
they
camp
contacted they got the names of everybody that owned a home that they were searching on both sides. You know what I'm saying? That people that were doing the dogs, had that dog kennel thing or whatever. And then the people that are on the corner. And then when it came to the deer camp, it was hard to find the name at first because it's not Redont anymore. It's
some other name.
Yeah,
it is.
He changed the name of his company to something else. I can't remember what it is, but he's still the president of it.
They would not give permission.
What the fuck does he have to hide?
Now, why wouldn't he give permission?
I don't know.
I'm just curious because, okay, we're changing cases here, guys. This has to do with making a murder.
Sorry.
You have to ask Jeff.
He worked with KZ, and KZ's like, I ruled him out because KZ's like, oh, well, he worked with me, therefore he cannot be guilty, right? Which I honestly don't think that's the truth. I think that somebody could still work with law enforcement or lawyers and still be guilty of something.
Something could have happened.
I'm sorry, but that's my opinion. But at the same time, if he is not guilty of anything and he has nothing to hide, and they came to him and said, we want to do a search, no cost to you, just to bring a dog on there and go over your property to see if there's any remains. Why would he say no if he has nothing to hide?
Just like Carol, why would she,
Now I'm looking at Josh Redont a little different again.
Me too. That's why I asked.
Well, I looked at him different ever since me. I mean, come on, you have to have a lawyer talking for you on something.
Bobby,
well, let's not go there because we all say to everybody now, ever since Making a Murder, if a cop or a lawyer ever wants to talk to you, you say lawyer. That's the only word you say. Bobby. So at the same time, I can't fault him for having a lawyer because that's what all of us should do.
But why would you say no?
But yeah.
Bobby Epicito says they can use reasonable suspicion over probable cause.
Yes, they can.
That's my buddy. Hi, Bobby.
I'm telling you right now that there's Carol. I mean, any real non-corrupt law enforcement would be checking her out. She'd be number one, especially after all of this stuff. I mean, it's public knowledge that these are forged. It's public knowledge that she's the only one that benefited from it. It's public knowledge that she was the only one that really had opportunity, and she's directly connected to the victim. She's married to him. That is more than enough to be bringing somebody in and questioning them.
At least a warrant to check over the properties. I mean,
all properties. She owns a lot. What she owned back in the day,
not just Big Cat Rescue.
No, what she owned back in the day.
And his excuse about, we'd have to move the big cats. Then move them, because if he's buried on the property, I would not even doubt it. If he was buried under one of the Big Cat Rescue's big cat cages, just so that to keep them from coming on and searching the property there.
Right.
The cops aren't going to be like, yeah, I'm going to just go bring in the dog and, bring in the dog with this big cat, and hope that the cat don't eat the dog,
They need to do a search on properties she owned back then.
Yes, all of them, not just Big Cat Rescue, just the Big Cat cages.
They need to find out where the guns are.
Well, the guns were collected, and where did they go after that? Didn't they call her and tell her to come pick them up, and they just never?
No, they weren't her guns anymore. They were Kenny's guns.
Did Kenny pick them up, you think?
We don't know where the guns are.
Interesting. And they don't have a record of that, if I remember right. Right?
No.
And you know why? It's probably because it's in the case file, like Gregory Allen's case file was in Stephen Avery's case file. Maybe they should go check Don's missing persons for that case file to find out what's really happening with those guns. Because I bet it's in that file.
Scared puppets for real. I'm honestly, you're right. I mean, that's public. She put that stuff out on public.
And also the fact that they lost Jim Moore's original statement, like that right there, like he could have been an eyewitness for that Sunday, but now we don't know because they allegedly don't have his original statement. Like how did they lose original statements in the case?
Now, is that something that Chuck Stairs had access to? Because I would be curious to know if he had access to those records that he could just go and take things out, put things in, whatever he wanted.
He's a sheriff just like the rest of them, so why wouldn't he?
Right. Exactly my point.
And I don't think anything was digitized in 97, or at least majority was not.
It was microfilmed. Like I said, I asked for that record of the burglary. It is microfilmed. So most likely all those records from back then, maybe his report isn't in the file, but maybe it's been microfilmed. Maybe they should go check the microfilm on the missing person for Don Lewis.
And let's find out why they made an accidental number of an officer that does not exist.
That is another thing that is very curious about that.
I'm going to put
the fact that they
in
didn't do an investigation the first 20 years ago. They just kind of blew it off that he's just run away or whatever Carol said. You know, I mean, it's for them to take her word, knowing that she's the only one benefiting from all of this, is ridiculous to me. That is just unheard of in any other case. If it was you, me, I don't care, anybody else in the world, they would be investigated. They would be questioned. They would be having their properties searched. And come on. Somebody's
Jessica says, do you think they never took down the statement, just listened and never wrote it down? It's a possibility too.
Possibility. Look, in any corrupt case, you're going to see where they don't make reports, they lose reports, I don't recall, all that shit.
I think part of that is because, say there's two officers on a case, okay? And both officers are talking to a suspect or a witness. If only one of them writes the report, then they cannot turn around and say, but wait, your fellow officer who was there at the same time disagrees with you and says, that's not what they said. They said this.
That's why
they don't want to write more than one report when they're in a team like that, because they might be contradicting each other's stories.
That's why they're forced to make individual reports.
And who's to say that if they lost Jim Moore's statement, that they haven't lost other people's statements?
Exactly.
Whose other statements have they lost? I would be curious to know. And we may never, ever know, because they would have no record of this person ever coming forward if they have lost the statements.
Yep.
According to Peggy, she says the guns went to HCSO, which is Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, per Trish. They were all inventoried the night they came in and helped her with the RO, which was restraining order. She said that they were way over 50. It took 2 hours and 3 officers to inventory that night.
Where's them inventories?
Yes, where's the inventory?
That's an FORA.
No, because it's an open investigation.
They never did give the guns back to Kenny. They told him, hey, come pick up your guns, which I believe was said to Trish, right? She was supposed to come pick them up.
Vast tech? That is.
If they did not pick them up, it is possible that they have since auctioned that evidence off to the public. They do that with the old evidence that may not have anything to do with anything anymore.
They never gave her a report that night. She now has a report, but it only has about 11 total bogus report. Wow. So if there was over 50 that night, they're only claiming 11. Wow, that's dirty. That is
it has
really
about
dirty.
11 total bogus report. About 11 pages or 11 guns or 11 total what?
Guns. She said over
I'm
50 up
I'm
here.
trying to understand because I think she might be talking about
She
the
says
actual report.
11 total bogus reports.
So it sounds like there's an 11-page report that's
11
fake or crappy or bogus.
I know that there were some volunteers, like I know some off the top of my head, but there were volunteers interviewed. Many. I don't know how many.
11 guns, she said, after
11
50, and only 11 came up in a report. That's very suspicious.
Go Cowboys, not Bears.
Go Bears! We're Chicagoans. He's from Chicago, by the way.
They should be serial number logged in.
11 hens.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Here, you wanna go after Bobby? I know we can say to Bobby so everybody attacks him.
What?
He's my buddy. Nah,
that's enough. You're her buddy?
I won't throw you on the spot, Bobby, but I'm tempted because I've been drinking.
Hey, she'll throw you under the bus. Don't worry. No, I'm only kidding you.
Just call me Carol
right.
fucking Baskin.
Wait. Now, what happened to the other, 30, 40?
The other 39 guns.
What happened to them?
Yeah, I don't know.
And it should have serial numbers. Yeah, serial numbers should be all on.
I was under the impression that the guns that she actually gave to Kenny were guns that
worth money.
Don was kind of like a pawn shop person, right? Like his friends would come to him and say, dude, I need $75 to get groceries this month or whatever it might be, right? And Don would say, well, you give me your gun for collateral and I will give you the $75. And when you have the $75 plus whatever interest he may have been charging, you come back, you pay me that money, and I'll give you your gun back. So when Carol actually gave away those guns, she was giving away guns that didn't necessarily belong to Don other than being in his possession for collateral. I believe that I heard that somewhere. Can anybody confirm that for me? Because I am not. I am going on memory recall and don't have anything in front of me. What's that?
That was my loud ass kid not knowing I was unmuted. I was trying to see what you had just said.
So the guns, weren't those collateral for some of these loans he was giving out?
That's what we were discussing, how Don would have treated it. It would have been like, he wouldn't have just been like, let me just get rid of this shit ton pile of guns that's worth all this money.
Like, if I remember, there was somebody, it might have been Vern. What was his last name? The other Vernon guy? Vernon?
Hold on. Some of the guns were actually antiques. There were pistols, and he loaned money for the guns. They were traded out, and some of them were long barrel powder, whatever that means. But it was just a big, huge assortment.
So some of the guns were not even hers or Don's to just give to Kenny, because
exactly all of them, it sounds
technically, if she was taking over his business under the conservatory, she should have been expecting money from people who owed Don money to get their gun back, and the gun should have gone back to them, because he wasn't reported as dead at that time. He was just missing.
Right. And that makes me wonder. So the people who these guns belong to, did they not come to Carol to collect to pay her to get their guns back or anything? Like, who are these people?
Or did they just cut it off because now they know Don's missing and they'll never get their, they got the money, they'll never be able to pay Don back, and they just wrote it off? But I do remember Vern, what the heck is his last name? It's going to drive me nuts. Anybody? Vern Yates. Wasn't it him who had actually had property that Don was holding for him as part of his loan, and Carol was getting rid of it? Wasn't that one of their issues
that's what I
too?
heard. Yep.
Was like she didn't want the junk on the property, so she just started getting rid of it, even though it was not her junk or Don's junk to be just getting rid of, because it was basically collateral for loans.
Oh, wow.
I think it was Yates. So that's what I think about the guns. If the guns were collateral,
Yeah,
she had no business just giving them away.
That was Wendell.
Wendell, that's right, Wendell. Sorry, my mistake.
Oh,
Vernon is
cops. Ooh.
Vernon's the guy who worked for he was the first one to report them for their bad caging and stuff when they lived on the other property that was off of Sheldon Road. The one where she's living now. Yeah, he had a piece of machinery there and she got rid of it, or wanted to get rid of it, and it was Wendell's machinery that he owed money to Don for. Don was just holding it as collateral. So I see that kind of happening with the guns too. So
I like what Peggy said. The night Trish called the cops, Kenny took off on the run, and they didn't catch up to him for a couple months.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yeah, I recall that too. Yes, and the report listed him as a possible suspect in a homicide. I recall that too, Peggy. Which homicide? Whose homicide? What homicide were they talking about? Because that'd be very interesting to know.
Yes, it was.
I gotta hop off here. My baby's just got home from out of town. So
all right. Well, we'll wrap this up. So it was good seeing you. Thanks for joining us, Nosy.
Sorry, I gotta hop off. I thought they were gonna be home at 8.
I Nosy, love you.
All right.
It's all good. Have a good one.
See y'all later.
Yep.
Bye, Nosy. Say bye, Nosy. Bye to Nosy. Yeah, we're gonna wrap this up too. We've been on for a good
2 hours for not wanting to do it, right? You know what I'm saying?
2.5 hours for being like, I don't want to lie.
But see, this brings up a lot of questions, a lot of things that maybe should be looked at. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, yeah, and the only one I can't do anymore. I came across the signatures, all of them, even the Sandra signature I noticed was traced or forged or whatever. I came across all that stuff. All I can do is forward that to somebody who can do the job. I can't do anything else other than see the stuff and point it out to somebody who can actually investigate it. I'm not an investigator. I'm just a researcher. So when Chad Chronister and his team talk about us armchair detectives as being like nobodies and not wanting to look into these leads, it really kind of hurts, because I have no money in the game. I'm just here to find the truth, to see what's true. And I'm not here to make money. I'm not here to So why wouldn't he look at those
because
leads?
It's a prideful thing.
Look at them. You don't have to, just don't discredit them as nothing, because how do you know unless you look?
It's a prideful thing. Okay, they're law enforcement. They're trained to do this. That's what it is. But anyway, thanks, Jinxie, so much. I'm glad you did this. It brings up a lot of questions. People will be looking into things. Oh, Lulu, it's so nice to see you in here, and YouTube is everybody, in fact.
I have my Google log degree according to Dennis Jacobs, by the way, just so you guys know.
Yeah, we got our license from Google, Netflix. I got mine from Jinx, Nosy, J-Jax, Henberry. Lots of people.
Anyway, I think we'll wrap this up. Nosy's gone. Linda seems like she's ready to get going. I'm kind of a little buzzed.
I'm getting drunk. We can stay here and party now if you want.
I will probably sit on go on the Discord. I'll give you guys that link again if you guys ever want to join my Discord. You sure can. Let me grab that link for you guys before we leave. Welcome to Wanda, who did join and showed me her pictures of her cat, or her dog, I mean. So
thanks to everybody. I love seeing y'all.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll be back soon. I don't know what my next live will be about, but maybe we'll go back to the Making our Murder stuff, or continue with some Don. If I can get Peggy to come on and do another,
she'd be
do her theory, that would be great. And we'll
see
you guys all soon.
Bye, guys.
Love you guys. Thank you for joining. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and ring my bell. Bye, guys. How do I get out of here now? I don't know how to leave. I gotta stay.
Push it twice up at the top.
End broadcast. Bye, guys.